Chelsea. Don't miss my brother Patrick Mahomes and C-Dot every Monday at 2:15 right here on 610 Sports Radio. See you guys on Sunday.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
Welcome to Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio. On today's show, will Mahomes ever play with an elite defense? What was the AFC West's biggest mistake this offseason? And time to trust Trent McDuffie. Special guests include Danan Hughes at 11 and Paul Charchian at 1. Now two guys who'd prefer it if you left your personal grooming products at home. Cody Tapp and Alex Gold.
That is true. That is accurate. That is something we can all agree on.
We don't always agree on this show on something. Like, oftentimes we find ourselves at odds.
This is true.
Not on this one.
No.
Not on that one.
It feels nice every once in a while.
Yeah,
to just come together on something.
I was a little worried for your safety this morning.
For my safety?
Yeah, and everything.
I watched him walk past you this morning, and I was just rooting for him to say something.
I think I was a little groggy this morning, and I didn't even notice.
I was waiting for a little comment to be made. Like, hey, I was waiting for him to be like, I saw your video you put out of me yesterday. And then I just went like, well, then don't clip your damn fingernails in the workplace.
So you were waiting, you were anticipating a confrontation.
I was ready for you.
What's funny is he seems to be the only person in the building who doesn't know.
Well, is he not on Twitter?
I don't think he is.
Okay.
I don't think he's on the internet.
He's off grid.
I'll tell you this: if any of his friends listen to 610 by now, it had to have gotten back to him because multiple shows have brought up the fingernail clipping at his own cubicle.
Only to find out that there are other people apparently in this building who do it.
We did learn there's another individual,
at least two,
at the same station.
Oh, this whole KMBZ crew has got problems with personal hygiene in the workplace.
Yeah, just don't be doing that.
Or maybe he doesn't have any friends anymore. Maybe he clipped his fingernails in public one too many times, and his friend said, "You know what? We're done with you, man. We're done with you, Mark.
They're just doing
it's
it at
over."
the dinner table as they're waiting for appetizers.
Oh no!
That might be the worst time, right?
No.
At the dinner table?
No, absolutely not. All right, coming up at 11 o'clock, Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver. Of course, you hear him on the call this Sunday for the Chiefs Radio Network. We'll get his thoughts on Tony potentially maybe coming back, and we mentioned McCole Hardman and how vital he's been in the red zone. What has Danan Hughes seen from that facet? And plenty more heading into the Denver Broncos game on Sunday afternoon out in Denver. But I'll never forget, for a couple reasons, last football season, we had a guest come on our show that we've all agreed, right? Another thing we've agreed on that we'll never have on the show again.
Correct.
Former general manager.
What's his name again?
Mike Lombardi.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy with the podcast?
Lombardi.
Yeah, he's got a podcast.
That's exactly who it was. And if you remember, so not only did he hang up basically because he's like, well, I got to go, guys, after 5 minutes of the interview. I got a podcast to record.
Didn't even get to the question.
Didn't even get to the stuff we wanted to really get to. I guess that was our fault, maybe. I don't know. So you remember that interview? What was one thing that other than him ending it quickly, what did he say? He said that with Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs will never have an elite defense. That's what he said. That was actually one of the things I will always remember about that interview other than the other part. And then you take a look at some numbers that are out there. Scott Kaczmar put out defenses for some of these quarterbacks throughout their playing career. And you got Tom Brady, who now is having another season, 10 straight now, of a top 10 scoring defense. Guy knows how to pick them. Smart decision. Went to Tampa. He knew he was going to have a good defense. Won a Super Bowl. Can't blame the guy. He's not an idiot.
No, you can't.
But then you look at Patrick Mahomes in his playing career so far. We know the guy's won a ring, but the 28th ranked defense, the 12th, the 13th, the 19th, the 24th, it averages out to the 19th points per drive allowed. I'm talking about points per drive defenses allowed at this point in his career. Think about that, and then look at not only Brady, look at Josh Allen and what he's been dealing with. Like, I think there is some truth, Cody, to even Michael Lombardi's comments a year ago about can there be truly an elite defense paired with Patrick Mahomes? Will we see it?
Seems like there can for other teams, right?
Well,
like I think here's the frustrating part. Clearly, for other quarterbacks, this is possible. I'll start this by saying if Patrick Mahomes ever gets a top 10 defense, it's over for all of you. That is the takeaway to have here. that if you're another team in the NFL and Patrick Mahomes ever happens to be on a team with a top 10 points per drive allowed defense, it's over for you. Russell Wilson has had 7 of them. Josh Allen has already had 4. Patrick Mahomes has had 0. None. And what's fascinating about it is the 2 times he had the 12th and 13th, the 2 best in his career, he went to the Super Bowl both of those seasons and won it one of the times. All it took was getting to 12th and 13th. And look, we know in that Super Bowl winning year that they were playing like a top 10 points per drive defense in the lead up to that. And what did it do? It eventually won the Chiefs the Super Bowl. This is to say that the Chiefs can't ignore defense going forward, and they haven't been from an investment standpoint, but they're not getting anywhere near the investment that they should. They have the 6th highest paid defensive line in all of the NFL. They have 2 second-round linebackers. They have 2 second-round safeties currently on the roster. They have invested draft picks and money. They spent the most amount of money on the safety position this offseason. The only position they haven't heavily invested in is corner, and they spent a first-round pick on it this year. Their investment to defense to what they've gotten in return is nowhere near what it should be at this point.
Do you think that it's possible, though, under Andy Reid? Because we take a look at some of these quarterbacks and who they're paired up with, and is there a correlation between the head coach and what his background is in terms of offense or defensive minded? Now, I will always tell you, if I am in today's day and age of the NFL, I always want the offensive minded head coach, point blank.
Especially when you've got an elite quarterback.
Look what's happening out in LA with Justin Herbert. He's got a defensive minded head coach and Brandon Staley. I think that's a mistake. If they were to fire Brandon Staley, I think we all agree they would go and hire an offensive minded head coach.
He's not even doing that good of a job of defense.
Yeah, that's the worst possible scenario. You have a defensive-minded head coach and you still have a bad defense.
And look, that's why they can't make the playoffs with Justin Herbert, and they're battling to try to finally do that. Because we know Tom Brady, New England, Belichick, great defensive mind.
10 straight.
Todd Bowles, even though I think as a head coach he continues to make the same mistakes as he did with the Jets, and now as a head coach with the Bucs.
Carroll.
Defensive-minded head coach. Pete Carroll
Sean
as well.
McDermott, defensive-minded head coach.
So I think that's my question of, now look, you're right, they've put resources more than
Those
ever.
teams have the same number of Super Bowls as the Chiefs run,
but when you have an offensive-minded head coach to the level, will we see that in Kansas City during the Andy Reid era? And I don't know if we'll ever see that. Now, I will still take this trade-off. If you're asking me, would I rather have the perhaps best offensive play caller / play designer in NFL history, and I consider Andy Reid to be that, or a defensive-minded head coach that can get you an elite defense? I'll take Andy Reid, genius play caller, best we've maybe ever seen.
This is my hang-up with Josh Allen sometimes. He has been given back-to-back top 5 points per drive defenses and has absolutely nothing to show for it. This year it's actually 10th because they've fallen off a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Last year it was 2nd. In his rookie year it was 1st. Now look, in his rookie year he was not, or his 2nd year, he was not the Josh Allen he is now. It took him years to become that. So in a way they kind of squandered it. But I think that's my frustration over the Mahomes thing. He'll be great for a while. It's not like he's definitively in his prime, right? Quarterbacks can be in their prime at age 27 to 32. I'm not worried that they've squandered it. But over the next couple of years, you have to do it. Because that's the thing we talked about with Patrick Mahomes anyway. Because a points per drive defense is obviously harder to come by if you're in Kansas City. Significantly harder to come by if you're in Kansas City based on the way that these numbers have worked out. 4 years under Spags, they finished 12th, 13th, 19th, and 24th. And in his first year, Bob Sutton, they're obviously really terrible, as we well know. But they have, because it does, like, the way I read this stat, and then I look at, like, the years when they had the top 10 and where those guys finished, there is a very strong, it's not year to year, it's not direct, but there is an incredibly high correlation between getting an elite quarterback, like get a top 5 quarterback, a top 10 points per drive defense for the year, win the Super Bowl. Like, it's that simple. And with Mahomes, because he's been doing this, without that, he's going to a Super Bowl, he's gone to 2, he's won it, he's been to 4 straight AFC title games. It really feels like if you got him near 10th, then it's done. Which brings us back to this year's defense, which is currently 24th. And that whole statistic is because they are terrible in the red zone, Gold. Because other statistics don't hurt this defense as much. But their inability to stop teams when it comes to the red zone is killing their chances at this, which makes me feel like, again, maybe they don't finish the year top 10 in points per, but can they just be that the rest of the way? And that just requires them to be what? One thing, good in the red zone.
It's that, and I think it's interesting as well when we look at some of the other quarterbacks for this year in the postseason. Now, this chart that was sent out does not have Joe Burrow on it, which I thought was kind of weird and interesting. I don't know why we don't have that. I would love to know where
he sent a follow-up tweet and said he's not including guys who haven't had at least 4 years as a starter.
Okay.
He's trying to get a sample
size. We got to wait one more year or so for Joe Burrow, because I would love to know where he's.
Burrow, didn't
or
include
Herbert. I didn't see Herbert on there as well. Okay, because that was interesting to me. Because for example,
Hurts,
like Lamar Jackson, for example, Lamar Jackson. If you're looking at this chart and you say who is it more of an indictment on, what quarterback is it more of an indictment on? I would argue Lamar Jackson does not look good in this whole thing.
Well, you
Lamar
want to talk
Jackson,
about a team that has failed their quarterback, right?
Right.
Yeah,
we
kidding.
always said they don't surround him with offensive weapons. He's had the second best scoring defense, the 5th, the 4th, and then the last 2 years, the 11th and 12th.
Which is better than any year Mahomes has ever had.
So
just to be clear.
This doesn't help our argument, but in Baltimore's case, I would have traded a few of those top 10 scoring defenses for a few more weapons on offense for your franchise quarterback.
It's like the balance.
You want to have balance, but that is my argument to where like I will still always take what the Chiefs have right now. I will, versus the opposite, which is top 5 defense, but an offense that is just middle of the pack. I will always take what they have more. Yeah, in the perfect world, I'll take the top 10 and the top 10 on both sides of the ball. Duh. But I will still take the offensive-minded head coach. And I think John Harbaugh is a great coach, but he was a special teams coordinator, more of a defensive and special teams guy, not an offensive mind. And I think he is one of the better coaches in the league. But I think we've seen some of the problems. They had to go out and bring in Greg Roman to try to get that offense running a couple years ago and make it work with Lamar Jackson.
I think I just hate the notion, like this feels like the conversation we had with the Royals yesterday, where it's just like they were supposed to accept Lombardi's notion. It's like, well, they got to put guys around Mahomes. I'm like, and it's not that they've had zero investment around Mahomes, right? They gave Juju Smith-Schuster money. They spent 2 second-round picks during their time on wide receivers for Mahomes. They traded a first for Orlando Brown. They spent a second on Creed Humphrey. So for all the things I just said on defense, it's not that they haven't put equal resources into the offense. I don't know if we need to make this about Spags, but there is a point that, like, as much as we've defended him on this show, you got to find someone who can get you near the top 10. Because, again, it's not that they're not allocating resources to it. The amount of money they spend on Frank Clark and Chris Jones and the draft pick they spend on Frank Clark alone is significant resources at those positions.
I would ask, though, is that
a general manager?
Is that a Spags issue, or is that actually where heading into next season, as of right this second, 51% of the defensive line cap hit is on one player as of right now for next season? It's Chris Jones, and we all think Chris is great. But is that the right plan? Like, is that the right route to go? Are you going to get enough results? Should half of your money be on one player?
It's hard because last year I put some of it, like it was a combination. It's like Spags didn't have enough talent, but he kept playing the worst talent, so it was frustrating.
Now, the good news is the AFC West sucks. So we're talking about the defense and how it stacks up in terms of the Super Bowl conversation. And, yeah, they can lock up the AFC West with a win and also some help elsewhere in the division. Nobody's concerned about the Chiefs winning this division, but, like, how is everybody so wrong about it? Like, you could have pushed
the
back
as a whole.
You could have pushed back, and we did at times with the national discussion around the division. Like, oh, this is the Broncos, it's the Chargers year, and we all kind of balked at that. But nobody thought the division would be one of the worst. Other than the NFC South, it's the worst division in football.
Someone added me
other than
to
the
Old
NFC
Takes
South.
Exposed the other day because in March.
What'd you say?
In March, I said this might end up being the single toughest division in NFL history.
You fool.
So,
well, we all thought
was a little wrong.
Heading in, though, it was like we had never seen a division with 4 potentially top 12 quarterbacks, right? Because we all were like, oh,
you know what?
Mahomes.
I just put up a tweet from me from July. It said, AFC West totally overrated. Russell Wilson will be the worst quarterback in the NFL. Broncos will be cruising towards one of the 5 worst records.
I don't think you said
the
that.
Raiders will start slow, but then go on a 3-game winning streak a little bit halfway past the season mark.
Okay, so the thing we were the most wrong about was Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I thought he was being held back a little in Seattle, and there was no way that it would be a disaster. I think you and I didn't think that they were going to win the division. That seemed like too big of a stretch.
And we all picked the Chiefs to win the division.
But that they were a passable...
Except for you, Nick.
Nick picked the Chargers.
Nick picked the Chargers. I don't know what you were thinking.
But the thing with the Broncos was they won 7 games the year before. I thought, okay, Russell Wilson's good for a win or two, right? Clearly, he's an upgrade over their current horrible quarterback situation. No. And I think the two things that I was the most wrong on is I didn't realize how bad they would do by letting Russell Wilson choose the offense in which they tried to run. And that turns out not a good idea. Some quarterbacks can do that, like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, but they should not have let Russell Wilson have the keys to the car because he drove it into a ditch. And that's where we were the most wrong. The Raiders, I feel like I was pretty close on. I said, they're a passable team, but they're not good enough because I don't trust their head coach and I just don't trust their quarterback. Now they're 5-7. It feels like where they're supposed to be. The Chargers, I just keep thinking eventually Justin Herbert's talent will make them better. I'm wrong, obviously, there, that they'll take the jump to 10 or 11 wins and that the Chiefs will still win the division. Because what I can't figure out about the Chargers is how they can be so consistently bad on defense. You want to talk about someone who invested on the defensive line this year and linebacker? They spent so much money. They spent money on J.C. Jackson and Mack. They spent so much money on defense, and they're still miserable.
It's the same story for the Chargers. Now, I still think there's a chance that the AFC West ends up with two teams in the postseason, whether it's the Chargers grabbing that last wild card spot or if you do believe what we discussed yesterday about the Raiders, can they go on some sort of run? Because if you look at the wild card picture, we know the Jets have the final spot right now. The Patriots are on right there with the Chargers, and the Patriots' schedule is far more difficult than the Chargers if you take a look at what the Patriots still have in front of them. So there is, to me, still actually somewhat of a decent chance that somebody else in the AFC West gets a wild card spot. But this division is not anywhere near what everybody thought it would be. And you're right, on the Russell Wilson route, it was the trade that multiple teams would have been willing to make. And everybody had looked at the Broncos roster and said they got so much talent. Now they got their quarterback. It's just the quarterback holding them back. And now the quarterback is still holding them back.
Yeah,
that's what's weird.
Just
the quarterback,
worse.
The quarterback is still holding the Broncos back. Nothing has changed. It's just we didn't think their quarterback is holding them back still. It's just his name's Russell Wilson instead of all the other 5 or 6 guys they threw in there the last 7 years, and Paxton Lynch and the Trevor Siemians and the Drew Locks of the world.
Can we claim a little? Can we just claim a little ignorance because we didn't realize that Nathaniel Hackett would be this bad?
They brought him in
because we had kind of an unknown. We didn't realize Nathaniel Hackett would be this bad, right?
They brought him in because they thought he would help them get Aaron Rodgers. And
well,
when that fell apart,
Wilson.
then they said, well, we'll go with Russell Wilson.
Haven't we learned in the NFL that mediocre coaching can be carried by great quarterback play? Like, we've seen a lot of coaches hang on longer than they should have because they just happen to hitch their wagon to the right guy. Nathaniel Hackett, we know, is not a good coach, but I also don't think he is. I think he got it. We saw what happened at the beginning of the season and the timeout blunders and the late game decisions were like, okay, this guy's the worst ever. He might be the worst ever, but we've seen other coaches who are really bad at clock management, who are really bad at timeout management, and they just kind of get by because they're on a really good team. He is just getting buried. He thought he was hitching his wagon to a really good horse, right? He thought to himself, Russell Wilson, this guy, yeah, we can make this work. And instead, Russell Wilson has been a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL.
What do you think? Here's the thing that's so confusing about the Broncos is, what the hell was their plan for an offensive identity? Like, did they have one coming into the year?
No,
or was it just let Russ cook?
Let Russ do his thing. Yeah. Remember how he exited Seattle, right? He exited Seattle because he wanted to do things his way. He wanted to run this new offense that was going to allow him to sort of roll out and push the ball down the field, and he wanted to go under center, which he had never done in his career, which typically short quarterbacks don't do because there's a reason why Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts and Drew Brees play out a shotgun. It's because it's hard to see over the line when you're starting right behind these 6'2" guys. And instead he tried to create this Frankenstein offense, and turns out he's not an offensive coordinator or a play designer.
Because it's just because they have, again, the defense was good enough. That was the thing we talked. We weren't wrong about that. We're like, well, the Broncos have a really good defense. So if they have a passable offense, this is going to be a tough team.
Yeah, the one thing that for a couple of years we had discussed about the Broncos was like, well, they got all this offensive talent. You know, at the time they had Noah Fant and Judy and Sutton and Javonte Williams and all this stuff. And there was some truth to that, but maybe those guys also, as bad as Russ has been, maybe those guys also aren't nearly the type of players that we all thought they were. One, Fant's in Seattle now, but also Cortland Sutton can't stay healthy. Jerry Judy's been a major disappointment. So you can blame it on the quarterbacks all we want. At some point, if you're that good of a receiver, you're going to step up. It's the same argument. It's the same Allen Robinson argument. Like, oh, poor Allen Robinson. Chicago's ruined him. He's had terrible quarterbacks. He goes to L.A. and he's been dog crap.
He's been just straight up bad.
That whole team's been bad this year, in fairness. But still, like, are we just going to keep blaming it on everybody else but Allen Robinson? At some point,
why is Allen Robinson out here catching strays? He's had a nice NFL career,
it was
man.
It was the same narrative, though. Like Allen Robinson been bad for a couple of years, and everybody blamed it on the quarterback situation in Chicago. And then in Denver, everybody blamed Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy not elevating to those top 5 or top 15 receiver status because of the quarterback.
We see it happen, so you just assume that it's always the quarterback issue. You're like, I can see that they have talent or have a 1,000-yard season. What's going on with them? Like, people thought about that. Like, Wes Welker's a really good example of that. He had played in Miami for 2 straight seasons. He was like a mediocre player during that time. He's like a 600-yard receiver. He shows up to New England, and then he's a 1,000-yard guy for like every year moving forward. It's like the talent was there. We just kind of thought. I also think sometimes you can just ride out the string too long. Like, when you were good, like by the time that you're kind of declining a little bit because you were a good player, not a truly transcendent or great player, you get on that team and it's too late. Just too late to solve your problems. The Broncos are screwed.
Yeah.
They have no possible exit strategy moving forward other than just simply praying Russell Wilson gets better.
Nick, did you have an exit strategy perhaps just in case things go south on you? Have you given us an update? You're still here, so that's a good sign. After yesterday,
were you spoken to?
Where you videotaped a coworker, there was a little bit of concern perhaps that the management would be speaking to you.
I don't like the way that you set this conversation up. I don't like that you set it up as I filmed a coworker, which that sounds bad.
You did do that though.
Did you or did you not film a coworker?
But there's more details and context that can help.
We talked about that yesterday.
Okay, so if you missed it, yesterday morning, we were just going about our business, getting ready for the show. We have a shared bullpen with our sister station, KMBZ. There are people who stay here overnight, right, who are kind of by themselves. They live in their own little bubble because nobody else is here throughout the wee hours of the night. And so when we're starting our shift, they're ending their shift, and there is one guy who is not typically mindful of other people.
Mark Lavoie, since the morning show named him, we can name him now.
Being in a shared workspace. And this guy usually plays sound really loud. He has his phone on speakerphone. We thought he was maybe a little bit inconsiderate, but not a big deal. Then yesterday, as I'm coming back into the bullpen, Cody's sitting there. He's looking at me. I look over. We both hear a clipping sound. I look at this man, Mark Lavoie, and he is clipping his fingernails at a shared workspace, at a shared desk, just clipping them over his desk, over his keyboard. And I decided, you know what, this is flagrant. I'm going to film it. And then beyond that, I decided the world needs to know about this, so I put it up on Twitter. There was a debate yesterday as to who was more in the wrong, him for clipping his fingernails or me for filming a coworker. And as of this point, I have not received any sort of talking to.
Good. Okay.
No one has spoken to you about your actions.
In fact, more so, I feel like people are rallying behind me. I feel like I'm getting stronger as time goes on because more and more people are taking my side, including the morning show, who I actually have a feud with right now. Yet somehow they're actually backing me on this one.
I think this might actually lead to peace between you and the morning show. I think there's a chance.
You outing this behavior is going to finally squash this beef?
I guess so, because I didn't even know this, but apparently, like they were touting me this morning. They were saying I did the right thing, good for Nick, he's a hero, so this may be the tipping point.
Are you willing to drop the feud on your end?
I am. You know what? I am.
Okay.
I am, because I did what I did yesterday, filming another coworker, and I'm not even really a coworker. Like, we don't work together. We've never spoke. We just kind of share an office space. What I did was for the rest of the employees in this building, because nobody at Odyssey should be subject to that sort of workplace misconduct.
Do you
think it's a health hazard?
We found out in discussing this that there are 2 other people over at KMBZ who also do this.
2 other or just 1 other?
Oh, no. So we were told
Name names.
that Dan Weinbaum also does this. But you might have missed that Sam Stevie also admitted to doing
Just
this.
admitted it. And then
In the producer studio and tried to defend his actions.
He defended it. He
That's
said he does
right.
it over the floor.
I forgot about that.
And you know what he said? He goes,
Over the floor?
Well, he goes, go in there. He goes, go in there any day. You won't find clippings on the floor. I'm like, Sam, that's because
Someone vacuums in there.
there's a cleaning crew who comes in and sweeps up your dirty fingernail clippings every night.
He claims that he clips them right into the trash can. But again,
he also claims that he doesn't have enough time to do it at home.
Which is absurd.
it is
45 seconds tops.
It is a minute long or so task. The fact that you bring clippers in your backpack to work.
And then he used some
to do
acronym for stuff he puts in his bag that's with him at all times.
What is that? ECD?
Everyday carry, EDC.
Oh, my God.
Which is...
That's how he put it, not me. Do not put this on me. That's how he put it yesterday. So my problem is that by exposing this person, I'm now to find out this entire building might be clipping their nails in the workplace. This is no longer
we're
a
the only
safe
people who
place.
aren't.
I mean, have you seen our restroom at times? So it's not exactly what we got the cleanest people all the way around.
I need to meet with management over this.
Please do.
Yeah.
Let's get them in studio. Let's ask the hard questions.
You want to interview our boss?
Yes.
Not even Spec, his boss.
Yes. About this.
On air.
About this issue. I think
Okay.
we should send a company-wide memo.
Wow.
Company-wide.
I'm going to let you spearhead that one. I've done my part. It's your turn.
Take it from here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Up next, something that we said in passing on Monday, and it got us thinking a little bit more about the quarterbacks in the NFL and where we disagree on that next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Sign Then Drive is back at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Lease any new 2023 Volkswagen for $0 down, $0 security deposit, and 0 payments for 4 months during Sign Then Drive. There's nothing down on any new Volkswagen at Volkswagen Lease Summit and no payments until March of 2023. Simply sign, then drive away with your favorite VW. Plus, we have used cars in all makes and models, and you can sign and drive on any of those too. Pay nothing out of pocket and nothing for 4 months when you buy a used car from Volkswagen Lease Summit this month. When we say 0, we mean 0. Are you in a lease and wish you'd bought? Or bought a car and wish you'd leased? Is your interest rate too high? Do you owe more than your car's worth? Bring your car to Volkswagen Lease Summit and we'll buy your car for its original base MSRP, deducting only for mileage, manufacturer incentives, and any damage. Upgrade your ride during Sign Then Drive today. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com for details. Trade offer for 2012 and newer. Excludes Highlines. Financing through VCI OAC. See dealer for details.
At Fisher Investments, our clients know we have their backs.
How do your clients know that?
Because Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, the highest standard for a financial advisor. It means we're there for our clients and always put their interests first.
So wait, you do it because you have to?
No, we do it because it's the right thing to do. Our clients trust us with their retirement savings, and we know how important that responsibility is. So we take the time to really get to know them.
Get to know them how?
We make sure we understand their unique goals, finances, health, family, and lifestyle so we can tailor their portfolio to their specific needs. Our goal is to help them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Sounds like a big responsibility. You must make big commissions then, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We have one single transparent fee that's structured so we do better when our clients do better. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you are switching to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Your love isn't confined to an advent calendar. It doesn't stop when the Christmas lights come down. With the Salvation Army, your love lasts all year long. It puts a present under someone's tree today and a roof over someone's head tomorrow. It brightens Christmas morning and the hardest nights for hardworking families. Together, we love beyond Christmas. Give $25 a month to support Kansas City families all year long at lovebeyondkc.org.
Inside the Huddle with Cody and Gold, each day from noon till 1 on 610 Sports Radio. Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC on the official radio partner of the Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Right now at Old Navy, get up to 60% off store-wide. Styles start at just $7. Grab gifts for everyone on your list and get up to 60% off now. Only at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 11/29 through 12/11. Select styles only.
Ad paid for by the Sentinel Group. Attention Marines, military personnel, families, and contractors who were stationed at Camp Lejeune. Were you present at Camp Lejeune between August 1953 and December of 1987? You may be entitled to significant compensation. For nearly 34 years, those in the Marine Corps' base Camp Lejeune were exposed to contaminated drinking water, resulting in devastating injuries, including several forms of cancer, adverse birth outcomes, Parkinson's disease, and more. North Carolina's procedural laws have prevented victims from getting the justice they deserve, but passage of the Camp Lejeune Justice Act of 2022 would allow you or a loved one to file lawsuits seeking compensation for illnesses and injuries linked to the toxic water. Call today for your free consultation, 800-610-9256. Let our experienced Experienced attorneys fight to get you the compensation you deserve, and you pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call 800-610-9256. That's 800-610-9256. Again, 800-610-9256.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
When you need to know what's happening, it's time to get in the huddle.
You're fraudulent. You're not in the business of winning football games. You're in the business of trying to prove your own asinine decisions correct. We can talk about the Irsay thing. Do I think the Saturday thing is the biggest joke in the history of the NFL? I do. But at least he was willing to say, this ain't working for me. I don't care that I gave him extensions.
Listen to In the Huddle. Available on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast.
This hour of Chiefs coverage is brought to you by IHOP. One long wintry night, we put hot cinnamon apples on top of the thickest and fluffiest French toast available at IHOP. Try our new thick and fluffy ginger snap apple French toast today. Part of our holiday menu. Let's put a smile on your plate for a limited time at participating locations.
Just getting started here on a Thursday. Danan Hughes, former Chiefs wide receiver, going to join us coming up in a half hour. Later on in the show, get you set for fantasy football. Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. I'm sure it'll come up about how Cody lost in a media guillotine league this past weekend in pretty gut-wrenching fashion, I would say. So that'll come
unfortunately
up at 1 o'clock today as well. We'll also be keeping an eye on perhaps an injury update for a couple Chiefs players a little bit later on, closer to the noon hour, after we know that Kadarius Toney and Joe Thuney were back at practice yesterday. We'll see if there's any setback for them, if they're good to go heading into the Chiefs game against the Denver Broncos. On Monday's show, when we were talking about Joe Burrow and just how calm and cool he looked out on the football field, and in particular on that 3rd and 11 conversion to really seal the game. And it got us talking about, like, where is he at in the NFL picture? And I made the comment just passingly. I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely top 10. You go top 10, top 5. And then we were like, well, wait a second. Let's think about that. Like, where does he rank, and where are we at in the NFL? Because you look at all the new starters in the league this year. Another one today with Desmond Ridder now becoming the starting quarterback with Atlanta as they're benching Marcus Mariota. Think about the new crop of quarterbacks even this year. Jalen Hurts is in the running for the MVP. Where do you put him? I'll be curious on the Jay Southland Tow Service text line to see where you guys are at and if you agree or disagree. But
it was much harder than I was anticipating.
It was. 913-586-7610. I guess what's the easiest way probably is to start at 1, just because I think we all know who 1 is.
Let's put some ground marks in. So, I think the way we try to look at it, because it's hard, because sometimes you're trying to separate quarterback from team. So the way we did it was, if there was a league-wide NFL redraft only for this season, not career accomplishments, not what they had done before, but simply you were trying to win a Super Bowl this season and you get your pick of quarterback, who are the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL? Because to me, that's the top 5 most talented quarterbacks in the NFL right now. You're including some probably things like, are they good winners? Can they win this season? Or the things that go with it? So that was kind of the way we went. So number 1 is still Mahomes, right?
I think we all, without talking, I think pretty obviously we all have Mahomes still listed at number 1. If these quarterbacks were all placed also on the exact same team, whoever you think is the best football team in the NFL this year, roster-wise.
Chiefs, Bills, whatever.
And you put Mahomes on them, or Burrow, or Allen, or whoever, like, Mahomes is still the number 1 overall pick here. I don't think we have to spend too much time on that. Despite his head-to-head record against Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes is still the most talented quarterback in the league, the quarterback that I would pick over anybody else to go win me one football game right now.
I assume that we all have Josh Allen, too?
I do.
I do as well.
Okay. So we're all the same 1, 2. So that's why. So let's start
I think this is where it gets,
Yeah.
This is where it gets super murky.
That's why I wanted to start at 1 and 2, because I think that was pretty straightforward. 3, 4, 5, and then we can give our 6 if we want, just because, like, who's the right outside of it. This is where it's like, number 3 for me. I still went Justin Herbert. If we're talking about talent level of a quarterback, and I can put him on a team that doesn't have injuries all over the place, doesn't have Brandon Staley as his head coach, Justin Herbert, to me, would still be my third pick. Put him on whoever you think is that third best team right now in football. I would want him still as my starting quarterback ahead of some of these other guys. So, yeah, I still am a big believer in Herbert. We've talked about the story around him that he's got to start making the playoffs because at some point then it is hard for me to continue to say this. But I still think from a talent level and when he does have a healthy number 1 and 2 around him, this guy's made Josh Palmer look good this year, okay? So I don't put all this season on Justin Herbert. I still consider him a top 3 quarterback.
This is where we officially take a shift. But this is also why I think I guffawed at the time when you had said it. I have Joe Burrow third. I don't know that there's a strong argument to put anyone else there right now. He's been to a Super Bowl recently.
You just told me not past accomplishments, though. You just told me we're not going off of
I know. But he's went to Super Bowl last year.
Okay.
So, I feel like he's still capable of that. He's on one of the better teams in the AFC. He's on pace for his best statistical year, so he's seemingly getting better as time goes on. He's clutch. And it's between, of all the other young quarterbacks, he seems like the choice. And of the old accomplished quarterbacks, and if I'm just choosing hey, Rodgers still has a ton of talent, or if you're a big Brady guy still, even if you think he's still got it at 45 years old, I'd still rather have Burrow. You made me start for even 1 year. I'd rather roll Burrow this year than play with Tom Brady or play with Aaron Rodgers.
So it looks like we're going to have 3 different answers for this one.
Okay.
I have neither Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow. I have Lamar Jackson at number 3.
Interesting.
Because what I was really looking at was you just talked about Justin Herbert and the different things, the injuries they've had to overcome, not having a great offensive coordinator. Both of those things apply to Lamar Jackson, yet he still wins at such a consistent level. If you're just giving me one season, I know if I have Lamar Jackson on my team, they're going to win 10 games. Because that's what they do. I know last year was a bit of a setback with all the injuries they had, despite the fact he's never had great offensive talent or even average offensive talent around him. He constantly gives them a chance to win. They constantly win football games. I would wonder what he would do with an elite offensive coach and weapons around him.
Yeah.
So I have Lamar Jackson at 3. Best coaches in the NFL. Got the most out of Joe Flacco. I know elite offensive coach, but it's not like he's not good at squeezing out talent out.
But I don't think it's him. Greg Roman is the one calling that offense. I don't give John Harbaugh credit for what Lamar Jackson does.
Because we were just talking about in the first segment of the show, that I think we all think John Harbaugh is one of the better coaches in the league, but he's a special team / defensive-minded kind of head coach, more than an offensive-minded head coach. And so Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Jackson is playing wide receiver for them. You know what I mean? So I think that's
his best offensive weapon right now.
Yeah,
think about that.
Because of the injuries. And Mark Andrews, I think, is back healthy now, but
he's
been banged up. Okay, so that's interesting. So this tells you 3 different answers.
I'm telling you, this was way harder than I was anticipating it being.
So number 4, I have Tom Brady still for one season. Right now, you give him the talent around him, and some of it is also coming off the heels of what I did see him do in a comeback drive, which was against a bad Saints team. I understand that. But I still think that offense, if you look at his numbers this year, everybody would just expect the Bucs are terrible to watch. They look awful, which they do. No disputing that. I don't think Brady's having that bad of a season. Look at some of the numbers from him. He's not throwing 10 picks and looks awful. Looks like he doesn't have it anymore. That offense just flat out sucks. The play calling's terrible. Mike Evans and him have not been on the same page. Offensive line's got injuries all the way around. So I do still put number 4. If I was to do a redraft and I need him just for one freaking season, Brady still to me is 4.
I guess we'll find out if he's on my list later because Herbert's next. So I have 4 young quarterbacks: Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Herbert as 1 through 4. I simply could not ignore Herbert's talent. I was torn to put him in there because he has accomplished nothing. His team is 6-6 and going nowhere, but I don't know. He's just too talented.
So I'll just go ahead and give you both of mine because I have Joe Burrow at 4, and I gave him the nod over Justin Herbert at 5.
Okay.
Now, I know when you watch them play, Herbert has more of the highlights, but I think that sometimes lies to you. He is very, very talented, but if you're telling me one season, I know what Joe Burrow can do. I know that he has that next level that he can sort of reach late in games. We saw that against the Chiefs with that throw he hit Higgins on. So I have Burrow at 4. I just think he's a winner, proven winner, and I have Herbert. I'll just trust that if we redraft that he would wind up with a better head coach and a better play caller and maybe a team with not as many injuries.
So you didn't take a single quarterback over the age of 26
so
years
I
old.
probably would have Brady at 6.
Okay.
Maybe, but
So
I didn't even think about it. To me, there was a very clear separation after the top
So
5.
I'll round out my top 5. I mentioned I had Brady at 4, Burrow 5, and Rodgers 6. That's how I ended up with my list. And then after that, like I made a top 10 just from there, and that's when I ended up with Hurts, Lamar, Tua, and Dak.
Like Dak, you could have talked me into a couple of years ago, but he's on the injury
That's why
train
he's 10th,
again.
though. Who else is that? I mean, he's 10th. Like right now.
Oh
look at
God,
him.
yes.
He's-
No, again,
yeah.
this is why I think this conversation was so difficult at the time. Like when I went through it, like I didn't think it was as clear, Nick. I was like, am I supposed to put Brady here? Am I supposed to put Rodgers here? For one season in neutral circumstances, am I supposed to believe that that's the case? But no, I think this is a little bit of case of father time. Yeah, Brady looks fine. He looks passable, but he has 16 passing touchdowns in 13 games this year, 12 games this year. He can't spread it vertically. They haven't been just missing all their offensive weapons all year. Part of their offensive line, sure, but they haven't just missed every wide receiver for the entire game. I ended up with Lamar at 5th. So Nick and I had the same top 5, but in a different order. I considered Hurts. I was trying to decide if I was supposed to consider Tua. The problem is because we're not considering past accomplishments, but I also know that I have less track record with those guys. I have no history to know that Hurts has done it for 4 years or know that he can, but at least with Lamar, there's some history to suggest that 1 year is not the entire story for him. And I know I got a lot of that for the other guys, but this to me was just proving that the difference between Mahomes and Allen and kind of everyone else starts to look very different. And that the talent in the quarterback position in the NFL right now, as much as I thought it was heading towards a trajectory of being talented everywhere, it's not as good as you think right now. Because if you're like, well, Dak's got to be 10th because who else? That means 2/3 of the rest of the quarterbacks in the NFL we're barely even taking seriously.
We'll get to Nick's notable notes coming up in about 5 minutes or so. But yeah, kind of interesting. I saw some people on the text line keep sending in where you would have your top 5 layout there for NFL quarterbacks. I thought it was probably weird to do on Monday because the frustration with this Chiefs defense. But if you are looking for some optimism long-term with this defensive unit, it has to do with the guy the Chiefs traded up to draft in the first round, and that's Trent McDuffie, who we all know missed a lot of time earlier on this season. But here's what he did on Jamar Chase. Whenever he was matched up with Jamar Chase, 3 targets, 1 catch, 8 yards, and a 42.4 passer rating allowed. Trent McDuffie, we had talked for weeks about wait till he plays Cincy. Let's see what he does there. Big test, big test. Now, the entire wide receiver core for Cincinnati ended up having a pretty damn good day. We all know the story. The Chiefs defense could not stop Joe Burrow and company. Long drives they were able to get. But Trent McDuffie, when he was matched up with an elite wide receiver, he held his own and more than held his own, as a matter of fact. I think that's a great sign not only for the rest of this season, but why they went up and drafted for him. We know the height discrepancy that he's always going to have against him. That's something when we talked to him up at camp and he was on our show, he said, look, that's something I've heard my entire life. How does he make up for it? His smarts and his athleticism. And that's what we have seen so far with him as a member of the Chiefs. He is right on the hip of every single wide receiver.
He is so in tune that he makes no mistakes, which is the best news is we don't have to worry about him. We don't have to go into a playoff game or go into an important regular season game here moving forward for the time being and ask the question if McDuffie can hang. We're good. And we've asked plenty of those questions, right, about this cornerback grouping going into certain games. But with him, I don't even worry about it anymore. I know it was maybe right before he's coming back from the injury. I told you that by the end of the year, I thought we were going to say that Trent McDuffie is the Chiefs' best cover corner. I'm already there. Didn't even take me to the end of the year, Gold. I already feel that way. I watch him play, and he's their best cover corner. I understand the idea that Snead does other things, or at this point is probably more versatile. But just from a line up a guy outside, tell him to close down a wide receiver, there is no one on this team better than Trent McDuffie. He's not a concern in any way right now. Those stats alone. The fact that when he was guarding Jamar Chase, he was targeted 3 times. He only allowed the single catch for 8 yards. He got, Jamar Chase caught a ball over the top of his head the one time, but he was out of bounds. And there was a penalty on the play, too, so it wasn't going to count. But when he did it against him, that to me was the marker. Because we had said this about the corners in general. What is it going to look like when they're up against elite wide receivers? And Cincinnati beat the Chiefs, and there's no doubt about it. But would you go out of that game and just say that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins completely destroyed them? Because that's not the case. That's not what happened. What would have happened if Trent McDuffie could have been available to them in the Buffalo Bills game? Do the plays down the sideline to Gabe Davis before half go differently? And in my opinion, they do. That's the kind of player they've got in Trent McDuffie right now. He looks like the goods.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've seen exactly what you've wanted to see from a guy that was drafted where he was, the expectation of the type of player that he can be. And he has lived up to it already, and he was also behind the 8 ball because of the injury that it suffered against the Cardinals back in week 1. And so you wondered, would that hurt his development? But to this point in time, he's been able to jump right in, and I think it's a huge positive for them going forward, especially if we all believe they're going to end up signing for the first time a corner long term, which is L'Jarius Sneed, hopefully this offseason. And then you would know
if you want to punch.
You would know for a while you would have Sneed and McDuffie locked up as your number 1 and number 2 corners. All right, let's get to Nick's notes.
Gotta write something down. Nick's notable notes.
All right, guys, big news out of the NFL today. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking
Baker
about.
Mayfield maybe starting tonight?
Oh, no, something much.
Desmond Ritter starting for the Falcons?
Bingo.
Okay.
Desmond Ritter, the former Cincinnati Bearcat, will be getting his first start for the Falcons this weekend against the Saints. Now, the Falcons are 1.5 games out of first place in the NFC South, the worst division in football, right behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who we kind of thought might have opened the door this past week or on Monday night, but then, of course, they had the great late game comeback to beat the Saints. The timing of this is a bit odd. On one hand, I understand because you're the Falcons, you're trying to make a push in a division that is wide open. At the same time, why didn't you do this 2 months ago? You knew who you had at starting quarterback. The idea that you were going to convince yourself that Marcus Mariota was going to go Geno Smith and all of a sudden have this late career resurgence seemed a bit foolish. And in fact, it's been painfully obvious all season that you don't trust Marcus Mariota. You don't let him push the ball down the field at all.
I think because of how poor the NFC South has been, they've been able to basically get by and still win enough games to where they would talk themselves, oh, we can still roll this out. We're tied for first, or we're just in second place. Now that the Bucs just had their big win against the Saints and look like they're going to probably be able to end up winning that division, now you know that this offense is going to have to do more. And so who gives you more opportunity to do that and not make you as one-dimensional? It's Desmond Ritter. Now, with that, this thing can completely tank in the opposite direction where the Falcons can completely fall apart. Or what's the positive? The upside is that he ends up and he clicks right away and your offense becomes dynamic enough and you can go and steal that division still.
Very simply why they're doing it is they're currently projected to have the 8th overall pick in the NFL draft, in a quarterback-heavy draft. They want to find out if Ritter stinks. They got to find out if Ritter stinks and if they should use that 8th overall pick on a quarterback again.
Yeah, but Cody,
if
that's your mindset,
they're not
if
obligated.
That's your mindset, you know a better way to find out if Ritter stinks is by starting him all year as opposed to the final month and a half of the season.
But they didn't know at the time they were going to be in line for the 8th overall pick. Now they do. So
did you see your roster before the season? You should have known that this was a very real possibility. This is the same thing that the Niners did last year with Trey Lance. They didn't start him all year, even though he had, I think, 13 starts in college. Give yourself as much of a window and as early of a window as possible to figure out who your starting quarterback is. Because the more you kick that can down the road, you're just delaying the inevitable. You want to find out if these guys are good as quick as possible, but I think coaches do it to save their ass. Coaches do it so they always have that card they can pull out later and say...
Because they're not trying to lose their job just so the organization can find out about a quarterback.
Head coaches can say, hey, just wait until we throw the young guy out there. That'll be when we really kick things into gear.
I think typically you're 100% right. The Niners one is a little weird how it worked out, right? Because you could actually say, thank goodness they didn't hand the keys to Trey Lance last year. Thank goodness.
You mean because he's not good?
Well, because
they got to an NFC title game.
They went to an NFC title game with Garoppolo, and then if Trey Lance would have played last year and played decent, and let's just even give him let's go ahead and play along and say he would have still taken them to an NFC title game. Well, then they for sure would have moved on from Garoppolo. He ended up getting hurt, and then they would have had no backup this year. So in a weird way, it all actually worked out for the better for them short term.
It's to me, it will never not boggle my mind how weird it is the way that teams handle quarterbacks. It's just. Sure. They never just do the obvious thing. It's always like, let's be really creative with how we use him and let's hold him out. Early in the season, if you remember Arthur Smith, the Falcons head coach, he was getting angry at reporters for even asking if Desmond Ritter was going to get reps. It's like, I'm not talking about Desmond Ritter. He doesn't exist. I'm like, well...
At least Desmond Ritter, it makes more sense why he wasn't a first-round pick. He was third round?
Third round, yeah. If you could let everyone have revisionist history and you said, would you start them their first year if you knew? Like in Aaron Rodgers' case, they'd be like, yes, obviously, we would have just traded Brett Favre and started Rodgers immediately. It would Patrick
Mahomes ruined it for everybody.
Yes, of course, we would have started him.
Patrick Mahomes sat for a year, and now every team thinks that that's the formula. Or maybe.
But if the Chiefs
Patrick
could go
Mahomes
back in
was
time.
going to be an alien the entire time.
If they went back in time, they got in a time machine, they're like, all right now, start of the season, you can either start Alex Smith or start Patrick Mahomes. They're like, Mahomes. They wouldn't go the other way. They'd be like, Mahomes, we'll start him.
By the way, is this going to go down as like the worst quarterback draft class of all time? Let me list you some names. Let me give you guys some names.
More of what Kenny Pickett does.
Kenny
I don't think it's
Pickett,
fair to say he's
He doesn't have a
completely
pick in like a month.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett's the lone first-round pick. Desmond Ridder, Malik Willis, Matt Corral, who's been injured all year, Bailey Zappi, Brock Purdy.
Yeah, no. In fairness, nobody.
Purdy was a stud. I can't believe you'd even mention him in this.
Heading into draft night, in fairness, nobody then thought that this was a great draft class. It's not like at the time we all were like, ugh.
There's only one guy taken in the first 2 rounds.
Right now, I mean, like Kenny Pickett, I think the jury is still definitely. I don't think you can definitively say he can't be the guy. I don't think I can sit here and tell you already on Kenny Pickett. Brock Purdy, we'll just see what kind of story he's got. I mean, the guy just played 2.5 quarters.
I'm close on Pickett. I'll wait a little bit longer, but I'm nearly there in saying he's not going to be the guy. I feel like at quarterback,
nobody cancels quicker than
not quarterbacks. No, I cancel them quick.
He's
been better lately. So, and they're winning a little bit. So I guess I'll,
They won 2 in a row, right?
I'll give them a little life.
They won 2 in a row, I think. They just beat Atlanta, who we just talked about.
Getting Pittsburgh to 5-7, considering their roster, kudos.
I saw like a Pittsburgh radio host the other day said. He tweeted out, like doing a poll. He's like, do you still feel like the Steelers are in the hunt?
Oh, God.
I said, oh, God, no. Don't do this to yourselves. Like they're 5-7 and the AFC wildcard race is open. Like if you're trying to commit, we've got as good a shot as anybody.
You should not be rooting for that, by the way. You don't want them to be in the hunt. They have no chance to win an NFL playoff game. 0%.
So the Steelers' remaining schedule, for some reason, if you want to play along, the Ravens without Lamar, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Ravens maybe without Lamar again, and then the Browns. I mean, it's
totally winnable. They're going to win out.
They're going to win out.
Steelers win out.
The Steelers and Raiders are both going to win out until the Week 18. It'll come down to Week 18. The Raiders play the Chiefs. We'll see what happens Week 18. Something like that.
It could happen, guys.
It definitely could.
Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
He is.
If any team could draft some scrap heap of a unit, at least to a postseason, it's him.
Did you guys see the video, though, where Mike Tomlin, so there's a fan like underneath the tunnel kind of, in the area where he's walking back to his locker room at halftime, and the fans basically like, hey, Mike, or whatever, and Mike Tomlin's like, I'm bleeping working here. You guys, the cut I'm talking about?
Great.
It's fantastic. You should check it out.
I'm going to start doing that around the office.
If someone tries to talk to you?
Yeah.
Like, you're going to say, I'm bleeping working.
Yeah. Get out of here. Get away from me.
You got to do that for the next person. Just promise us the next person who walks in. Just leave the mic on.
Yeah, if Carrington walks in.
Carrington
it will
or
be
Rob.
Carrington or Rob.
All right, if one of them walks in, go ahead. We'll hit the dump button.
I'm not leaving the mic on.
Well, that doesn't do us any good if you
Now
don't.
I feel like you guys, over the whole fingernail clipping stuff and then telling me to say the F word on the air to other coworkers, you guys are trying to get me fired. If you want me to leave, just tell me.
You're the one who took another job at Arrowhead Pride. We have nothing
right.
to do with that.
That's a part-time job.
You took another job while working here.
Side gig.
And you are leaving the country. So I don't know what you got planned over there.
Okay, well I'm coming back.
Are we sure?
Yes, I'm positive. I hope.
You're planning on coming back. It's a round trip ticket.
Unless I get detained.
Let's not go there.
What?
Let's not go there.
What do you mean? Go where?
Let's not go down that road today. Coming up next, we'll talk with former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes and get his thoughts on this Denver Broncos team and how badly the Chiefs need McCole Hardman back.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Don't let this weather ruin other parts of your home. This rain sometimes get in between those cracks. You can get that water damage in your windows. Take care of your windows with the window source of Kansas City. We had old wood frame chain windows, just like I've had in every home I've ever lived in, and finally decided to not live with that anymore. We bought this house a couple of years ago. We had decided one of the very first things we were going to take care of was our windows. And we wanted ones that were going to last us a lifetime. Window Source of Kansas City offers a lifetime warranty, a best price guarantee, installed by certified master installers, so you know when the job is done well, it will be done forever. It's why we keep trusting them over and over again with different projects. The entire home's windows put in, the new front entry door, the Provia door that we had put in, and now we're having a new big picture window put in above the garage. The house has been dark really from the beginning because of the lack of light that came in from the various windows before and just the way the house faced. We wanted to put more light in, and of course, the only company in Kansas City we would trust is a locally owned father and son team and the window source of Kansas City. Give my guy Pierce a call, 913-333-6706, or if you're in Lawrence or Topeka, call Gary, 785-320-2045, or head over to windowsourceofkc.com.
We're down the stretch right now in the NFL season, but we're still giving you a no-sweat same-game Thursday night parlay with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. It doesn't matter if you're new to the app or if you already have an account, you'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. Same-game parlays are a perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at an even bigger payout this Thursday. So you can take the Raiders to win this game outright. You can take the over on Derek Carr passing yards. You know what? I'm also going to take an anytime touchdown from Devontae Adams. Build your own same-game parlay or use one that's already pre-built right there on the app. However you want to play, remember, you get a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up using my promo code CDOT if you don't already have an account. If you do, just check out the app. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL.
21 and present in Kansas. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 7 days after receipt. Max free bet ranging from $5 to $100. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Dig into savings with a new Bobcat excavator. For limited time only, Bobcat is offering 0% financing for 24 months on all new Bobcat compact excavators. While the weather's cold, the deals are hot. To rent or own, call or visit KC Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See your selection at kcbobcat.com. Offer expires December 31st, 2022.
Football, tailgating, holiday parties, and Smokehouse Barbecue. I can't think of anything better. The holidays are here. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 area locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. If you're hosting your own party, invite Smokehouse along. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about their hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Give them a call or check them out at smokehousebbq.com. For over 30 years and family-owned, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
It's time to get your remote start installed as frosty days are here and you won't have to scrape your windshield or windows. Or upgrade your car with better speakers or Apple CarPlay. Santa Fe Auto Sound, 83rd and Santa Fe or SantaFeAutosound.com. Kansas City's home for car audio since 1967.
Chiefs Kingdom, it's Travis Kelce here. Man, that was a big game this weekend. Let's keep the celebration going and grab some ice-cold Bud Lights from your local Hy-Vee or Quick Trip. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly.
From everyone at Discover Vision Centers, we'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas. And now you can give the gift of clear eyesight with 20/20 vision. Just until the end of 2022, Discover Vision is offering 22% off LASIK and Smile for appointments booked by Christmas. The first step is scheduling a free consultation at discovervision.com to determine whether you're a candidate and which procedure is right for you. You can even have your LASIK consultation virtually. Just visit discovervision.com and select the option for a virtual consult. Short on time? Who isn't during the holidays? A virtual LASIK consult is a great way to meet with one of our doctors and get your questions answered from the comfort of home, work, or wherever you are. Book your free consultation today. 22% discount is valid for appointments booked by Christmas. Visit discovervision.com to schedule or call 816-283-EYES and mention code Christmas 2020.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just 1 dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
It's pro time because at Lowe's, it's Provember. Save big with inventory you can count on, like Flex products or DeWalt power tools starting at just $99. Plus, Lowe's MVPs members earn up to 3 times bonus points per dollar on select items. Save all Provember long. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. MVP's Pro Rewards Program. Terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. Prices valid from 10/17/22 to 2/3/23 or until supplies last.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
It's pro time because at Lowe's, it's Provember. Save big with inventory you can count on, like Flex products or DeWalt power tools starting at just $99. Plus, Lowe's MVPs members earn up to 3 times bonus points per dollar on select items. Save all Provember long. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. MVP's Pro Rewards Program. Terms and restrictions apply. See Lowe's.com/L/Pro Loyalty Terms. Subject to change. Prices valid from 10/17/22 to 2/3/23 or until supplies last.
For contest rules for any station contest, go to 610sports.com/rules.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Did you miss Legends? A conversation with Bobby Bell, Jan Stenerud, Mike Garrett, and Willie Lanier celebrating the life of Len Dawson? It's now up on all the show's podcast pages at 610sports.com and on the Odyssey app, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station.
All right, into the 11 o'clock hour. It's Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Short with you. A reminder, next Tuesday night, we'll be out at Jefferson's in North Kansas City for the 2nd annual Cody and Gold Toy Drive, benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City. We'll be there from 4 to 7. Great food, great drinks. Cody's going to be dressed up as Santa this year. He's got to do all 3 hours. We're not rotating. He's got to do all 3 hours.
Because I lost Justin Watson bet.
That's right. You got to do all 3 hours, and we're asking you to bring a new unwrapped toy and toys to help those in need this holiday season. We appreciate everybody last year that helped us out with this, and we're hoping to have another great turnout, an even better turnout, next Tuesday at Jefferson's in North Kansas City. Let's talk some more Chiefs football and welcome in former Chiefs wide receiver, member of the Chiefs Radio Network. You'll hear him on the call Sunday afternoon in Denver, along with Mitch Holthus and Josh Klingler, of course, Danan Hughes. And Danan, we will get to the Chiefs in a second, but next week also, I think, is our company holiday party, and I'm told there's karaoke at the bar, and I must say, I think it was your son's birthday either today or yesterday, and there was a video you posted of you singing some karaoke, so I must ask, are you going to show up? Are you going to try to impress everybody, or I guess embarrass Cody?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to show up. Let's see if Barbershop shows up, too. Maybe we can get a little duet going, a players-only duet with me and Barbershop on the karaoke. I think I might be down for that.
What's your duet of choice if it's you and Barber?
Well, normally me and my son, even though I think on that video we did Blackstreet or maybe it was Poison or something like that. But normally my son and I, we do Regulate.
Oh, nice.
That's our go-to song, Regulate. So, you know, I am like, I'm a chameleon, guys. I don't know if you guys know that, but I'm a chameleon. I can go through all kind of genres. If I get enough oil in me, you know, we'll be really good fun.
Well, now I want to do a duet with you, Dane, and I wasn't even planning on singing.
You got to, man. You can't go to a karaoke joint and not sing.
Alex says he won't do it. He said he turned down $500 once. He will not
Danan,
sing in front of people.
It's not my thing, Danan. It's just not my thing.
Oh my goodness, bro! You gotta be able to put the ego aside, get some humility, have some fun. If you're there with a bunch of people that are just looking to have fun, like, have some fun. You know, you only live once, man.
That's how this game's starting to feel for me, Danan, where it's just like, just go out there and have some fun. Because as much hype as this movie would have had before the season, right? Like, wow, Broncos, Chiefs, Sunday Night Football, what a difference. Game's flexed out. It's at 3 o'clock. This game has no juice because of just how bad Denver is on offense.
Well, yeah, I would say that. But at the same time, there's a lot of pride. There's a lot of dignity that is involved with professional athletes. And, you know, not only are you having a losing season, but we've had your number for 13 straight games. which is pretty much unheard of. Well, I looked at the stats yesterday. I think the Bills and Patriots may have gone longer, and the Niners and Rams I think those are the only two situations that might have been longer streaks, losing against one other opponent than us against the Broncos and the dominance that we've had in recent years. So I feel like that's probably the message. I've known Nate Hackett since he was a middle schooler. His dad, Paul Hackett, was my offensive coordinator here with Kansas City. So when he was just running around being a ball boy, like, I've known him and seen his growth. You know, he's having some struggles and some challenges there, and who knows how much of a leash they'll have for him at the end of the season. But I do know he's definitely presenting that message that, hey, guys, like, we got to start getting better in the division. Once we start getting better in the division, then those other games will be able to fall in their favor. And so there's some pride out there. And I feel like Denver, they'll battle, and right now they're in spoiler mode. So they're going to try to spoil our chances to host another AFC championship.
And that's why, Danan, on the Chiefs end, you know, sometimes when there's an opponent you're facing that everybody views, okay, their season's done, or that you should just run all over them, that you worry about trap game and things like that. But that is not at all what I'm thinking, even for the rest of the season with any of these quote-unquote lesser opponents like the Texans in a week or so also. The Chiefs are right there to get the number one seed. That's what they still have in front of them. They can lock up this division this weekend, and they can still go and get the number one seed, I think, if they win out, because I believe Buffalo's going to slip up.
Well, yeah, I looked at the schedule for the Dolphins, the Bills, and I will say, who else was it? Dolphins, Bills, our schedule.
Cincinnati's maybe?
Cincinnati's schedule, and we definitely have the easiest schedule left. We've weathered the storm, so to speak, but at the same time, there are players fighting for their careers on losing teams right now. So they're going to come out with some energy on each of these teams. And make no mistake about it, Houston will be the same way next week. And then around the holidays, well, we got the 2 home games, which I am so thankful to the schedule makers. I mean, how cool is that we in the Chiefs Kingdom, we can stay home for Christmas and New Year's and not play on either day. Like, that's like on New Year's Eve or Christmas, we don't have to play. So I feel like, yeah, we got the upper hand. The other teams, they got some work ahead of them, especially the Bills. And there's one place, like, I don't think I'd mind going to Miami if we had to, but I definitely don't want to go to Buffalo. So I'm rooting against them every single week when possible, so that we don't have to match up out there in Western New York.
Look, I don't want them to go there either, Danan, but at this point, considering last week's result and the way that it's gone, I think I'd rather go to Buffalo than play Cincinnati anywhere.
No, I'd rather go to Cincinnati. I just feel like, yeah, it's going to be cold there. The fans are not as rabid as Buffalo. Buffalo is pretty darn close to the Chiefs in regards to how their fans are involved. Like, they live and die Buffalo Bills football, and we still have the best fans in the world. We know that. But Buffalo, like, people sleep on Buffalo and their fan base and how rabid they are at games, and the fact that there would be so many, story like we've ended their season the last 2 years. Like, literally ended their season. And, I feel like that may not be the right place for us. But Cincinnati, they got outnumbered, but I feel like that game would be different with all the chips on the line. Now, we said that this past week, and we said that earlier this year in the AFC Championship, but I just have a feeling like these games, they were so close, but they came down to that one mistake or that one play that we did not make. We didn't hit Joe Burrow. We didn't turn the ball over. We didn't get turnovers. They got turnovers. I feel like that would change.
We're talking to former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes. You can hear him tonight on Players Only, along with Sean Barber from 6 to 7 on 610 Sports Radio. When I look at the wide receiver core for Kansas City right now, you got McCole Hardman still on IR. Andy mentioned yesterday that maybe he has a chance to practice next week, but we know that Kadarius Toney was at practice yesterday. How vital is it that they get at least one of these two guys back? Because we looked at some of the red zone numbers, Dana, and McCall Hardman, a much bigger red zone factor than maybe we all realized and helping out this offense. And we know Tony maybe is a guy that can fill that role.
I feel like there's definitely been some missing opportunities. And one aspect of the offense, not that you make a habit of going east and west. So if you're looking onto a field north-south, there's a downhill towards the end zone. East-west is towards the sidelines. But if you see some of the efficiencies that we've had on offense, specifically with those guys, it's usually to the sidelines. And using their speed and how elusive they are in the open field to generate yardage and stretch defenses sideways as opposed to just vertically. We don't have that guy right now. Sky Moore kind of has been in that hybrid mode where you've seen the whirlybird motion and the jet sweep motions and stuff like that. I believe he had a handoff last week and got a good gain. But there's just something different when Tony or McCall Hardman are out there that I think they garner much more respect sideline to sideline. Remember how we took advantage of the strong, so-called strong 49ers defense by exposing Nick Bosa on the edge with those jet sweeps. That's one aspect of our offense that we're missing, that horizontal threat, sideline to sideline, as opposed to just the vertical threat.
Dana, I think it would have been easy in the offseason to say that the lack of weapons or that vertical threat because Tyreek Hill was going to be gone was going to be like one of the fatal flaws for this team. But as we were going through our list yesterday of the things that we thought could cost them in a playoff game, none of those came up. If you think there's a single thing that worries you the most in a big-time game for the Chiefs right now, what is it?
Creating turnovers, flipping the field. We are of the bottom in the NFL in creating turnovers. It's an anomaly that we are at the top of the AFC or one of the top teams in the AFC with the giveaway takeaway ratio that we have. I believe we're right at -4.
Yeah, it's like sixth worst or fifth worst in the NFL.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen. I mean, going back to my days playing, it was always drilled into us that the giveaway takeaway ratio was pretty much equivalent to or correlated to your success on the field and wins and losses specifically. So to have a 9-3 team that we are and have that ratio be on the opposite side of the spectrum is truly unique. So to me, our defense has to be a little bit more opportunistic. We need guys like, to me, one of the aspects of our defense that I was begging for happened to us in Travis Kelce getting stripped. Like, when was the last time we saw that second defender when Nick Bolton has stood up a ball carrier, or when Willie Gay has stood up a ball carrier, or Justin Reed, where that second or third guy came in specifically to try to rip the ball out? That's the aspect of that we're missing on defense. We need those guys not to just lower hits. Like, I'd give up 2 extra yards to Samaje Perine or any run back that we're facing, Latavius Murray this week. I'd give up a couple extra yards if that second guy was trying to pull the ball out while he was getting those 2 extra yards. Like, that's the aspect that I think we got to capitalize on, flipping the field, getting us that 1 or 2 extra possessions, and let Patrick Mahomes do his magic.
I'm just worried they don't have the dudes for it, or the dude. Like, I go back through each of the previous teams, Danan, and it's Marcus Peters did that, or Eric Berry did that, or Justin Houston did that. I don't feel like they have that one player that just gets the ball for you.
Well, and you remember, those guys used to get a little killed in media because they weren't big hitters, and especially like Marcus Peters. He was always going for the ball.
Oh, yeah.
But I didn't have a problem with that because that's not what you're enlisting those guys to do. Like, we don't need a Dale Carter or a James Hasty that's going to lower the boom on somebody from a cornerback position. We already have that with L'Jarius Sneed. I think those other guys, and they're rookies, so they don't know yet that can be a strength of theirs. Trent McDuffie, Joshua Williams, especially Joshua Williams. How long he is, 6'3", like, he could be that force. and utilize that component to his defense and just add it to a part of his game. I played with one of the greats to ever wear the jersey, in Albert Lewis. I mean, he's going up for the Hall of Fame in part because of that kind of approach, that he was always about stripping the ball, didn't really care about dropping the hammer on a defense, on a running back or a receiver. And these young guys have to kind of indoctrinate that into their game. I feel like they can grow in that when they get away from feeling like they got to put a big hit on somebody.
Former Chiefs wide receiver Danan Hughes, you'll hear him on the call this Sunday on the Chiefs Radio Network out in Denver. And, of course, tonight, again, players only from 6 to 7. It'll be Danan, Sean Barber right here on 610 Sports Radio. Thanks, man. We'll listen tonight.
All right, fellas.
There you go, Danan Hughes, pro karaoke. He sounds like he's okay. Tomorrow, you got competition. You just yesterday.
No idea.
Just yesterday, you were saying there's like who else? I think you said who else is going to sing
You're
besides
gonna get
me?
Waxed.
Have you seen the video? He's singing karaoke with his son. He just put on his
Pretty
Instagram.
good.
I think you're in trouble, man. I think you're in
It's
trouble.
not a competition. We're not up against each other.
It's a competition.
It is a competition, Cody.
You're in a little bit of trouble.
You should sing.
No, why would I do it for free when I have a $500
See now,
offer
you
out
see what
there?
he's doing now? He knows he can't beat Danan, so he wants you to sing so that way he can have somebody to be better than.
That's probably correct.
That's kind of weak, Cody.
That's not what happened here. I resent the implication, as a matter of fact, Nick.
Okay.
We'll get to the trash of the day in a couple minutes. But we were talking about this game on Sunday with Danan there, and then also he was going through the schedules for the Bills and the Bengals and what the Chiefs kind of have in front of them, and it's definitely the easiest schedule and trying to get this number 1 seed. And you do look at the Chiefs' schedule; it's way easier said than done. But man, how do you not just look at it, Cody, and just win out, man, get the 1 seed? It's right there for you.
Not just that; you should be actively mad at this team if they do not win out. They are definitively better. They are the best team than all of them by a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's times when it's unreasonable to expect a team to be like, I don't see a loss in the schedule. 17-0, here we come. Or they're going to start 5-1 during this stretch, or 9-1. You're like, okay, get out of here. They're going to lose some stretch of game during this. This is why a couple of weeks ago, while I started to look at the schedule and it felt like they could win out, none of us were willing to come on the record and be like, hey, they should. It should be the expectation. But now it should be. This is the expectation is win out this schedule or it's a disappointment.
I mean, look, they're 8 to double-digit favorites in every game the rest of the way. They're either 8.5-point favorites or double-digit favorites the rest of the way. If you look at some of the look-ahead lines, we know they're like 9.5-point favorites this week, as a matter of fact, against Denver. So
the best quarterback they face the rest of the way is Geno Smith.
Yeah, Seattle's the toughest game remaining on the schedule, and you get them at home, right? That's the benefit. And Seattle's battling for a division title out west, and maybe has a chance to win it now with the injury to Jimmy Garoppolo. But yeah, I mean, on paper, I'm with you. Like, these are all very, very winnable games. I'm sure there's going to be some sweat involved, though, in these. I would not be surprised whether it's one of the Broncos games or against Seattle, where we're talking about this team being in the fourth quarter, and it's going to be like, oh my goodness, how is this a 3-point game? And we're all going to be freaking out. I don't think they're going to just cruise and win by 14 points or 10 points in every single game.
With the exception being the Texans. It's tough. Because in 3 of the games, I don't think it should be a sweat. In the Broncos games and the Texans game, I'm like, should this really be a sweat? You are so much better than those teams. I can live with the sweat against Seattle. I understand. I can live with the sweat against the Raiders. I can understand. You should not be in a close game with the Tennessee Texans. They are miserable.
Or even the Houston Texans.
Them too.
The Tennessee Texans are bad, but the Houston Texans are even worse.
They're miserable.
Cody.
In fairness,
you should not.
I was going to let it go, and then Nick said something. I was going to let it go.
You should not.
We don't let things go on this show.
With the Houston Texans, you should not be in a game with them. They're so bad.
I'm with you. Just know that this year there's been more games decided by 6 points or less than we've had in, I think it was like 22 years, something like that. So just, it's very difficult to win.
I haven't pulled up their schedule, but what do you think your guess is? It won't take long to look this up. How many games do you think have been decided by 6 points or less for the Houston Texans this year?
Oh, for the Texans? For the Texans. Yeah, that I don't know.
You can point out the rest of the NFL. How many do you think for the Texans have been decided by 6 points or fewer? At least one, right? Because of their tie.
2 or 3 max.
And their win.
Yeah. So 2 or 3. I don't know.
God, even their game against the Broncos was 7 points. The correct answer is 2.
Okay.
Their win and their tie. Those are the only 2 games in which the Houston Texans have been within 6 points. Just the 2 games that they actually competed in. Like, and I understand, like, that just tells you that in the other games in which they were losing by 7 or more, and look, if you stretch that to 7, there's 2 or 3 more sprinkled in there for the Texans, right? They get the slight advantage. That means they get blown out in 50% of their games. They're good for just a straight-up ass-kicking half of the time they step foot on the football field. That feels like something the Chiefs should be doing. But this Broncos game this weekend, I know how divisional games, road divisional games against teams with really good defenses can sometimes get ugly. Am I going to go into full-blown panic mode if we get in here on a Monday and the Chiefs put out some knockout, drag-out game against a Broncos team that we're all openly making fun of? No, I'm not going to get into a panic. It's about winning these next 5 games. That's where the disappointment kicks in. You lose any of these, you deserve to be ridiculed because you're so much better than all of them.
All right, let's get to the trash.
Trash of the day.
All right, so we have tried different things on this show, and I think there's something else that we're going to have to try.
Oh, no.
On Friday, tomorrow, as a matter of fact. Are you guys aware of Pilk? P-I-L-K?
Nick?
Pilk?
I'm not. Is it a drug?
It is not a drug.
Because I made a commitment to myself this year.
No drugs?
No Pilk.
No Pilk.
Turning over a new leaf.
So
he entered the DARE program at age 31.
It's a TikTok trend, but it started with actually a viral marketing campaign from Pepsi and Lindsay Lohan. All right, quite the combination here. So Pilk is Pepsi and milk. Pilk.
Oh, no.
So this is something that they've tried to make a marketing campaign out of. It is half Pepsi, half milk. And there's been 40 million views on TikTok related to that hashtag. Some people are referring to it as dirty soda. I guess this is something that is, believe it or not, very popular in South Asian communities. So I think we need to try this on Friday. Bring in some Pepsi, bring in some milk. I don't even like milk to begin with.
Can we talk about the fact that Alex is always making us try horrible things on this show?
Can we talk? Okay. You don't have any room to talk for all of the bad things that you have led us into, sir.
Not eating.
I know, but you guys both have your things. And I'll say this. I am lactose intolerant. I would like to be relieved of this.
Okay.
No, just take a pill.
Well, take a pill, you know? My body refuses to process. My body refuses to process the sugars in dairy, and Cody's like, just take a pill.
60 seconds.
You never eat any dairy. Ever.
60 seconds ago,
Not milk.
Nick said, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, cutting out drugs. 60 seconds later, Cody says, take a pill to solve it. That's okay.
Bad influence, man.
No, that's a legal drug.
You just want him to pop pills.
They have, like, medicine for that,
And
right? Like lactate or something. They have
hit or
medicine
miss.
for that.
It's so hit or miss.
So
I remember as a kid taking lactate, drinking milk. Five minutes later.
How about this? We'll do it at 1:30.
We'll do it at 1:50. You can crap on the drive home.
It's not just like that I have to. It's not just that it makes me go to the bathroom. It is intense, like gut-wrenching stomach cramps for like an hour.
Well, then book Rob Collins. We need a third person to try Pilk. Get somebody else on the show. If
Yeah,
you're
I'm
not going to
sure,
do it,
I'm sure
get somebody else to come in to try Pilk.
Hey, Rob, would you like to come in for the sole purpose of drinking Pepsi mixed with milk?
He owes us one because he made me eat that sandwich.
He owes us one?
He brought us chili.
I'm just asking him to try one disgusting drink.
Now you're painting Rob Collins as like some sort of freeloader.
No,
he's brought us chili. He's brought us alcohol. He brought me a hat. He brought you your egg salad sandwich.
Most importantly, though,
he brought you some Modelo.
He brought us memories.
And memories.
Good times.
Did you drink the rest of that Modelo?
Dusty took it.
What, you let him take it?
Yeah, I
didn't
let
Modelo?
him. He just said those are
mine. You don't
mine.
like Modelo?
I love Modelo, but Dusty said those are mine.
Why didn't you take it home? Oh, you were going on. You had a flight that afternoon, so you couldn't take it on the plane.
I said I was just going to leave him here. He's like, nope, they're mine.
Wow, and you just let him. You just let him run all over you like
I didn't.
that.
At that point, it was
So
not worth
are
the
you
fight.
guys good to try Pilk? I guess the two of us.
I guess the two of us,
established
and
no.
Nick has to find a third person to drink it for him.
Or Nick has to try some
Rob
other
or
drink
Carrington
concoction.
or Rob Collins. It could be Rob Renton. Just somebody. Somebody has to sit in the
named
studio.
Rob.
Somebody has to be in the studio and drink your Pilk for you.
Problem solved. I'll buy some lactose-free milk.
Oh.
Just buy almond milk. I love almond milk.
Okay, I'll do
If
that.
you buy almond milk, I'll drink it.
So we're gonna do the almond milk version of Pilk.
Well, for him.
I will.
Oh, just for
I'm
him.
not doing it. We're going to do the normal. We'll get, 2% or something? I don't know.
Okay, you
I
get
don't
a small
honestly,
thing of almond milk.
I don't
for-
drink milk, so you tell me what kind of milk to buy. I have no idea.
Yeah.
2% work for you?
2%'s fine.
Okay.
We keep it at the tap household.
Someone says, get Bink. He seems like a real big Pilk kind of guy. I mean, I know Bink would try it. Yeah.
He seems pretty.
I mean, it's Pepsi and milk. It's not as the other one was worse. Coca-Cola and vinegar. That's way worse. Way worse than what this is going to taste like. I feel very confident if we did the.
I like that we've decided we're going to maintain our position as the young show. That's why we do all these TikTok challenges.
Yeah, Nick and I are maintaining that.
I said the young show. You don't get to just kick me out, or I won't drink this pill tomorrow.
Well, in a way, you're holding us back.
Our age average would be way lower without you.
Way lower.
It would.
Someone says, Cody has gout. Stop being a wuss, Nick. Drink the milk.
I don't think those are comparable.
I mean, no, yours will cause you to end up in the restroom.
If it's just the two of you, it's 31. Our average age, if it's the three of us, is 33.
Don't let math get in the way of what we just said, please. Please don't. You really pulled out a calculator in the middle of this segment.
I want to make sure you're saying that I was drastically dragging our age down.
Up next is the Chiefs Red Half Hour, something Mahomes has never had, and I don't know if under Andy Reid he'll ever have. We'll explain what that is next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Right now at Old Navy, get up to 60% off store-wide. Styles start at just $7. Grab gifts for everyone on your list and get up to 60% off now. Only at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 11/29 through 12/11. Select styles only.
Santa's thinking fine jewelry from Shane Company. Are you? Visit us for gorgeous gifts starting under $300. Order online and get free express shipping.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
The J. Rieger Distillery is the only official game day destination of Chiefs Kingdom. We have food and drink specials, multiple big screen TVs, and giveaways for tickets and on-field passes. Come to our distillery for the real watch party. Visit jriegerco.com for details.
Okay, we admit it. With literally thousands of different wines, craft beers, and fine spirits, Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore can sometimes make it hard to choose. That's why we have certified sommeliers, cicerones, and spirits experts right there in the aisles to help. But one choice you will never have to make at Lucas is buying local or saving money. For 35 years, locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores has been selling more beer, wine, and spirits in a week than some stores sell in a year. That's why we can sell it for less, way less. And while inflation is raising prices elsewhere, Lucas is holding the line or even lowering prices just in time for tailgating or a quiet fall evening on the patio. Shop local and save local at locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores in the Northland, Overland Park, and South Kansas City. Online at lucaskc.com.
Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore in a glass by itself.
Need weekend plans? Check out what's happening at your local Lowe's. Weekending at Lowe's gives you and your family the opportunity to make us your weekend destination. Stop by for free workshops, events, and activities for everyone to enjoy. Check out Lowe's.com/events to see this month's lineup, like our Winterfest event and Kids Workshop featuring a DIY Christmas ornament. Count on Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. And now, gatherings that are fun for all with Weekending at Lowe's.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little Gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
For years and years, I had put off the idea of getting LASIK surgery to correct my vision needs. Not because I didn't want it, but because years ago, I was told I was not a candidate for LASIK. But technology changes as time goes on. Your eyes change as well, and that's exactly what happened to me. I called my friends over at DuraVision, had my free consultation, and they walked me through exactly what kind of plan they can put in place for me to help my vision needs, to now get to a point where I don't need contacts. I don't need glasses, because just a few days after my free consultation, I was scheduled for LASIK. That's how quickly you can start to see with your own two eyes, just in a matter of days. And DuraVision, they're simply the best in Kansas City with over 65
100,000 vision correction procedures performed. So pick up the phone, take that first step like I did, and call Dury Vision at 913-491-3330 or go online to duryvision.com to learn more about just seeing with your own two eyes. And be sure to tell them Alex Gold from 610 Sports Radio sent you.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover, all for just $3 plus free shipping. Just go to harrys.com and enter code JOY at checkout. That's harrys.com, code JOY. Enjoy.
Dell Technologies' Days of Deals for Business start now with fresh, limited quantity deals on tech to drive productivity. Save on select performance laptops and desktops powered by 12th Gen Intel Core processors. Don't forget special pricing on the latest monitors, docks, and accessories, plus free shipping on everything, and special financing with Dell Business Credit. Call a Dell Technologies advisor at 877-ASK-DELL. That's 877-ASK-DELL.
Kansas City Steak Company, another AmericanEagle.com success story. Started in 1932 as a family-owned butcher shop, today they're a leading distributor of superior all-American steaks delivered right to your door, ready for the grill and your taste buds. When it came to their website, an average site wouldn't do. They chose AmericanEagle.com to take their website to the next level. With a dramatic increase in competition and a softening market demand, they had two challenges: improve their brand presence and message, and produce a positive return. AmericanEagle.com got to work and executed usability studies and detailed audits of site experience, digital assets, and marketing. The result? An integrated digital marketing and customer experience plan, organic traffic increase of 20%, and a long-term roadmap for success. If you love great steaks, go to kansascitysteaks.com for website design, development, and online solutions that bring efficiency and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. If you need a results-driven website, call the team at AmericanEagle.com at 877-WEBNOW1. That's 877-WEBNOW1.
Cloudy with a chance of showers and thunderstorms. High today, 47.
Weather brought to you by Macy's. It's Macy's one-day sale now with great deals of the day. Plus, everyone gets $10 Macy's money for every $50 spent now at Macy's.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric has the technicians you can trust and financing to fit your needs. Receive 0% financing plus a 12-year parts and labor warranty when you purchase a new cooling and heating system. Schedule online today at anthonyphce.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner, the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Chiefs Red Half Hour is brought to you by Greenway Ford. It's a new day, a new way at the all-new Greenway Ford. We'll keep an eye on the injury status now for the Chiefs for today, as in just a little while the Chiefs will at least address the media a little bit on what the latest is after having a day where Joe Thuney and Kadarius Toney both practice. We'll find out if there was any setback that's limiting them in today's practice. Hopefully not. Hopefully they're good to go. We looked at the quarterbacks earlier in the show, right? The top 5 quarterbacks, and clearly there's a lot of discrepancy of who we think currently, right now, for one game or one season you would want. I'll tell you, if you're going off the quarterbacks also, like who needs maybe the defense to be a top 10 defense more than some of the others, Scott Kaczmar put out this great chart that looked at, since 1998, so the first year of Peyton Manning in this league, as a matter of fact, points per drive allowed by defenses. The one glaring thing automatically is you go and look, okay, where's Patrick Mahomes on this, Cody? And you take a look, and he had the 28th scoring defense his rookie season, 12th, 13th, 19th, and right now 24th in terms of points per game allowed, averaging out to the 19th rated points per game defense in football. And we know he's got a ring despite having that average sitting there, whereas you look at Big Ben, who's got the ring, 9.4. Tom Brady, average defense,
so he averaged
8.3.
a top 10. Tom Brady's had 10 straight, by the way, which is absurd.
Yeah, Brady, Roethlisberger, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all averaged a top 10 scoring defense. And I go back to an interview that we did last year with Michael Lombardi, former NFL general manager. A very quick and short interview before.
Should we get him back on again, Nick? What do you think? Do you think he's available?
I think we all agreed that he's never allowed on the show again.
You think he's too busy doing that podcast?
I think we agreed that he's never allowed back on. And the reason for that is because we were, 4 minutes into the interview, and he said, all right, guys, I got to go record a podcast. Sorry. Okay. But in that 4 minutes.
And went, like a whole dial tone. The whole thing.
He did say one thing that was interesting at the time. He said,
he's like, one interesting thing in the performance. Good for him.
He did. And he said, look, with this current setup, with this team, with Patrick Mahomes, they're not going to ever be an elite defense. Now, we can go through his elite top 10 or not. I don't really want to have that conversation. But he basically was saying he doesn't think.
But why him? Lamar Jackson's had him. Yeah. Josh Allen's had him. Tom Brady's had him. Ben Roethlisberger had a bunch of them.
Yeah, I think for me what's interesting, I don't believe under Andy Reid that they will have a top 10 scoring defense. And
why?
You
think it's an Andy thing?
I think it is. Look at Tom Brady, greatest defensive mind ever in terms of Bill Belichick. Now he's with Todd Bowles, who's not a very good head coach, but defensive-minded head coach. Looking at Russell Wilson, who I didn't even mention him, averaged a top 7. And by the way, this year he's also got a top 5. Great defense, even though he's been terrible.
Not making a difference,
Defensive-minded head coach in Pete Carroll. Right now he's got an offensive-minded head coach, Nathaniel Hackett, but
he just took over one of the best defensive teams in the NFL.
Big Ben, Mike Tomlin's one of the best head coaches in football, but defensive-minded head coach as well. The one exception to this is who? Honestly, find me the one exception where it hasn't also had the defensive-minded head coach to parlay it together.
We've talked a lot over the years about Andy Reid's pros and cons. But we have to admit, if you're just like, it's not going to happen under Andy, then that's a massive flaw.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take
He is ignoring part of his job every year. And I think people always take offense to this. He does not. I cannot make this clear enough. I don't think Andy Reid really cares what the defense does. Like, I understand that it's his job and he sits in a couple of meetings. But I think largely how Andy Reid wants to coach the defense is to not coach it at all. Is to know some of the players, chat it up, sit in a couple of meetings, and then just let Spags handle all of it. Because that's primarily how he did it in Philadelphia, and it sure seems like that's been his model in Kansas City.
Yeah,
but either he's got to get his hands more in it, or he's got to have a defensive coordinator who can get him to top 10.
Yeah, he trusts Spags to basically be the head coach of the defense, right? I mean, you're right. I mean, it's almost like a separate separate team to a certain extent, just in terms of how he lets him handle that. I still will always take give me the best offensive play designer in NFL history, which I believe Andy Reid is, and the best offensive mind in the league right now. Give me that. If you're asking, I'd rather have. Because I also know they can win a Super Bowl, Cody, even with a 12th or 13th, right? Which we saw happen.
They went to both Super Bowls
and
the 2 times.
Of course,
but that's the thing. But that's what makes it kind of frustrating.
That's what's capable. Whereas we know they trade Tyreek Hill, and we're still talking about them being the number 1 scoring offense. I'd still rather be in that position.
There is a positive. There's no doubt there's a positive to it. It's saying, hey, in spite of this, Patrick Mahomes has been to 4 straight AFC title games. In the 2 years, they were 12th and 13th. So league average and points allowed per drive, they made it to the Super Bowl. But also the frustrating part is, at this point, you almost can't say that if Patrick Mahomes could just get the 7th ranked points per drive defense, he's winning the Super Bowl. Like, it's over, right? It feels like it's a lock, Gold. Like, it's just like, if you could just get there one time, it's a lock. Lock up ring number 2. We're done here. I know that can't be said about every quarterback because Lamar Jackson's had 3 in the top 10. He's never made a Super Bowl. Russell Wilson has had 5 in a row to start his career. He has one this year. He went to 2 Super Bowls, but only won the 1. And he needed the defense in order to complete that. Tom Brady's had 10 straight. He wins it all the time, as we well know. Roethlisberger, when he was competing for Super Bowls, had that. We know when you put that together with the player. Because to me, Patrick Mahomes right now is essentially riding the Aaron Rodgers train. Aaron Rodgers has also only had 2. And he has been essentially in this similar uphill battle. I don't want Patrick Mahomes to have Aaron Rodgers' career in the sense that you just have the 1 ring. He's already better at getting. But Aaron Rodgers went to a lot of NFC title games too, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. The sentence sounds funny. I know what you mean, but the sentence in general sounds funny. Like, I hope he doesn't have Aaron Rodgers' career. I know exactly what you mean. I know exactly what you mean by it.
Because I'm so high on Mahomes at this point, I feel like that's almost a lock. That sounds stupid and ignorant and probably too optimistic, but it feels like be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for 15 years and win one Super Bowl. I feel like he's already got that penciled in. Everybody feel like we're pretty good?
No,
we can etch that one in stone.
Yeah.
His career essentially equaling Aaron Rodgers feels like we're good here. It's like trying not to, like, you're already asking him to do better. You want more than one ring, man. You don't want a bunch of AFC title game appearances.
Well, that'll be the story, and that's the fear, right? If you get another year or two down the road and he doesn't have another one, I'll be like, wow, are you headed on this? Are you truly headed down that path where it looked like this was a guy that was going to win, multiple rings, 3 rings, 4 rings, and then are we going to be sitting here in 2026 saying, wow, he's in his 30s and he still only has the one? Like, it sounds ridiculous because it's such a spoiled thing to even be having a conversation about. But it is.
When you have transcendent players, you're allowed to have those conversations.
Yeah, when you're talking about legacies and you're talking about these type of talents, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, that is part of the conversation.
You got LeBron on your team. You can't just be like, one title's cool. No, it's not.
Right.
You have the best player in the NFL. One title is not good enough. It just isn't. It's not going to be.
When do you think, by the way, this is a whole nother probably conversation, but when do you think it would become a true
2 years
fear
2 years
of most Chiefs fans to where, right now, people can roll their eyes at it and be like, okay, come on, guys, he's going to win another one. But how many years down the road do you think it would take where that would be a legitimate, real concern?
Get to 30.
Yeah.
That's it, right? Because while some quarterbacks are playing to 45 now, we can't be sure he will.
I think it is a combination of 30 years old, and then if you told me that at that point, which I know you and I joke about it, but Kelsey's gone and Andy retired. If you told me at 30, he only had the one, new head coach, Kelsey's gone, then it'd be like, oh, okay, all right, this is, he would still have a chance to win one. You're not saying that he can't win one, but it would be a real conversation.
Do you think this defense is capable of playing at a top 10 level the rest of the way in points allowed per drive? Because, very simply put, if they became league average in red zone defense, they would be.
I think I'm going to answer yes, and a lot of it has to do with, look, we just got done talking about the schedule. So, yeah, Cody, I think they do, because they're going to face Russell Wilson, who's not the same Russell Wilson. They're going to face back to Davis Mills now, I guess it is. Geno Smith, who's actually having a really good year, but it's still Geno Smith, the name. And then they're going to face Derek Carr, and then who am I missing? They got somebody else in between, don't they?
They got Russell Wilson again.
Yeah.
Just get Russell Wilson twice.
Yeah.
I don't think they're capable of going that high. Maybe they can play
even
like
with
the 12th.
Schedule. You just told me how easy the schedule and how it'd be a disappointment and insane if they don't win out.
Some of this is eye test stuff. Like, could they over the next 5 weeks average top 10 points per drive allowed? Fine. But honestly, this only comes down to one stat.
Isn't that what you just asked me? Can they do?
No, but I guess it's like both. It's, can they technically do it, and are they really that?
Okay.
I guess is
Fair
the question.
enough.
I was asking him more is, are they really? Can they be that? Can they be that the rest of the season? But to me, that includes the postseason. And for me, I don't think they're capable of being top 10. I don't think that they're there. I don't think they'll ever be there at any point this year. But they fail in one area consistently. This comes down to the defense. Like in the red zone specifically. They are the league's worst team in red zone defense. If they were league average, we'd probably be having a much different... We'd probably be closer to that 12th or 13th marker. The ones in which he went to the Super Bowl both those years. And that's really, at this point, all I'm really hoping for. Can you get back down to that league average mark? The thing we ask for Mahomes a lot of times. Because I know he's got a real good chance there. Because if they ever put top 10, if he had any of these runs, this Tom Brady run, this Josh Allen run of top defenses, I think he'd already have a second ring. I just do.
Right, which is why it's always funny whenever we've seen usually on the national debate shows or whatever. It happened this past offseason, as a matter of fact, when the conversation of like, well, what if Josh Allen had Andy Reid and had Tyreek Hill and Kelsey? I'm like, yeah, well, what if Patrick Mahomes had the Bills team?
Defense, yeah.
So I mean, that's the same. That's what's so funny to me. Like, anytime that was ever brought up, of Mahomes is just in this perfect scenario, perfect system, and look, he landed in a great spot. Nobody's denying that. But if you're going to use that against him, then yeah, imagine if Patrick Mahomes had the defensive run that some of these other quarterbacks.
And by the way, if you just put everybody, you say, hey, you can have offensive line, skill position players, tight ends, whatever, and you said you can either have the Chiefs' entire unit or the Bills' entire unit. Before the season, about half the people would have taken the Bills, right? It's not like Josh Allen is disproportionately disadvantaged from a talent perspective. Yeah, there might be a coaching discrepancy from an offensive perspective, but from a talent perspective on offense, there's not a massive chasm between these two. They're actually pretty equal. And one guy has consistently, during his run, he's had 4 defenses ranked higher in his 5 years as a starter. He's had 4 defenses ranked higher than any single Chiefs defense has been in this category. So, that says enough in its own right that's why I guess and it's not like, I'll say this. It's not that they're not trying to accomplish that. They spent plenty of money on the defensive line. They've spent plenty of money on the defense. They made a defensive coordinator change at one point. Now, it's been years since they did that, but they're actively working towards this problem. But it still is something worth discussing.
How much does the running back matter at all in this whole conversation? And I bring that up because suddenly Isaiah Pacheco looks better and better for this team. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is still on IR. He's not eligible to come off for another 2 weeks, I think we're at now.
2 weeks,
2 weeks into this thing. And even at that point in time, now that we've seen what Pacheco can consistently do for a couple weeks, it's hard to imagine, where does Clyde fit in to this picture this year if he returns? And that's not a guarantee that he's even eligible to come back.
They are better without him. I'm not trying to pretend like he has no talent. I think we've had this conversation that he has no value in some role. But the way it's currently constructed, they are better with a 2-person backfield. They function better with the thunder and lightning combo. It doesn't matter. But giving Pacheco a majority of the carries, allowing Jerick McKinnon to do the things he does best without gumming it up with Clyde Edwards-Helaire has made them a better run team. By, I think, a kind of considerable margin, to the point that when Clyde comes back, I don't think he should have a role anymore.
I think
next year we could have a different conversation because I don't know if Jerick will be around or whatever. But as of right now, your combination the rest of the year should be the 1-2 punch of Pacheco and McKinnon.
Yeah, health aside, I think that's likely what we'll see because it's one thing when he just lost the starting job, even in the game that Clyde got hurt very early on in the first quarter a couple weeks ago, when we were talking about what would that split look like or is it a split, they were still giving Clyde the ball. I'm convinced if Clyde would have stayed healthy, we would still be today even talking about how Clyde is still part of this offense and getting carries. But when you all of a sudden are out for 4 weeks at minimum, which is what he will be, and Pacheco's performing at this level, and McKinnon, I agree with you, has been a nice little 1-2 punch. They both just bring some quickness to this offense as well. They're not dancing around in the backfield. They usually just go. I think it'll be very difficult to work your way back in unless injuries happen. We know that at backfield, at the running back spot, Andy always loves to have multiple running back options because of that. That's why they brought in Melvin Gordon, even though I told you I hope he never has to carry a football for this organization ever. But that's why
because he doesn't hold on to it when he carries it?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I don't ever want him to carry the football in a Chiefs uniform.
Fumbles so much.
Yeah. That's why. So I'm with you. I mean, we know McKinnon was dealing with the hamstring injury heading into last week's game. Looked great, though. Didn't look like that was a problem for them. But, yeah, Pacheco's been a great asset in addition. And I think Clyde's injury forced their hand. Maybe it was in a weird way for them to hey, we kind of have no other option. We have to rely and lean into Pacheco more. Whereas having Clyde around still gave them the out away to still no, we're gonna hold off a little bit. They had no choice. They had no choice to go full steam ahead with
honestly,
Pacheco.
it was just too crowded. It was they spent this first half of the season trying to figure out a way to work them all in. Remember when they made the switch to Pacheco? We're oh, Pacheco's a starter now. But the point Andy had made at that time, Gold, is that he said, oh, you know what? We just know we want to use Pacheco. We keep getting to points in the game later when it's harder, or we kind of get into this other thing, and then we kind of forget about it. It was too many. They already complained there are too many mouths to feed in the audience or in the offense because they've got 5, 6, 7 weapons in the passing game they throw to. Don't do that to the running game too. That's not serving you well. You're not harder to predict because there's a different guy lined up at back. There's only one back. You weren't ever putting 2 on the field. You weren't confusing anybody. There's one back, and the skill set of the other 2 more closely aligns with what you do well on offense right now. I don't know what they're going to do with Clyde at the end of the year. We looked this up. He's going to be the 15th highest paid running back in the NFL for next season, most likely. 15th, 13th, or somewhere around that range. So there's an argument for walking on him because you can save a little bit of money. If he's a post-June 1st cut, you can save a couple $1 million, $2.5 million. But it's just for the rest of this year, just don't force it anymore. Allow him to take as much time as he wants coming back. And when he comes back, if he gets 1 or 2 touches in a game, fine. But Pacheco and McKinnon have to be the 1-2 punch. You can't go back to what if it's a different guy every day at the running back position? Because while it seemingly works at the wide receiver spot, I do not think it works at the running back spot. They are better this way.
A couple updates on the injury front. We're just getting news out at Arrowhead in terms of a couple players. Last we knew yesterday, of course, was that everybody was going to practice. Same thing for today. So Kadarius Toney practicing, dealing with that hamstring. Nick Bolton all of a sudden does have a little bit of a groin injury. Yeah. Only 2 players limited in yesterday's practice.
You think it's worth playing Toney this week? We talked about the rest versus... Because they've said that they're going to take it slow, because I think they're more worried about Toney in the postseason run.
Mm-hmm.
So it's how quickly do you put him back on the field? Now, typically under Andy Reid, if you practice the whole week, you play. But there's been a couple of times this year when that hasn't been the case, where they have practiced for a majority of the week and they still waited 1 extra week, or in McDuffie's case, because of the bye, 2 extra weeks. Remember, he practiced the whole week for the Chiefs. They still sat him out on that Sunday game, and then they waited the whole bye week before they eventually brought him back. So I'm wondering if they'll take a similar path with Toney.
It's a good defense they're going to face, really good defense they're going to face on Sunday. But yeah, if there's any chance that they think 1 more week prevents the likelihood of that hamstring being a problem again, because look, we all know now you're getting late enough in the season, Cody. If you re-injure that hamstring, the chances of you coming back for the playoffs get slimmer and slimmer. You start getting to week 15, week 16, if all of a sudden you have an injury like that, then we're talking about the need for the bye and the number 1 seed just so you can get some guys healthy. So at some point before the end of the regular season, and we'll see Toney, but yeah, I'm with you. Wonder if they would hold him out if he was limited yesterday. I mean, today's Thursday. If he's limited again today in practice, then you wonder if they're just going to continue to take the real cautious approach. Let's not forget, this also is because McCole Hardman's on the IR with the abdominal injury. And so those are 2 guys you don't want to, and we still don't know what the abdominal illness or injury, whatever it is for McCole. And,
they called it both at some point, so
but
who
it
knows?
seems like the hamstring for Toney, given his track record, because McCole's not been injury prone. Kadarius Toney has been in his very short time in the NFL. This hamstring injury.
He was having a hamstring injury earlier this year.
Correct.
Like, it's not just, it's the same injury. And we know that those tend to be nagging and frustrated, and they want to be their most dynamic. Remember, we're just talking about like they should win these other 5 games and they're better than them. They're better than these 5 teams without Toney, and we know that. So it's just a matter of if they'll take that chance with him. And I'm not sure whether or not. They haven't indicated whether or not they're interested to play him. The fact that he's practicing me, he's close to getting back to the field, which we'll all take.
Can we help out one of our listeners real quick?
Sure.
913-586-7610 from the 785. Best barbecue in St. Joe, heading there for work.
St. Joe?
I'm asking our listeners to help this guy out. Best barbecue in St. Joe. I'll be honest, I don't think I've ever had barbecue in St. Joe. Nick?
You're missing out, man.
What's the place? What's the spot?
Don't ask me to choose just one.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Give me
That's
give
not
me the
fair.
place in St. Joe.
I'm friends with all the owners, so like I don't want to isolate one and then have the other guys get mad at me. You got.
I know Scott's Kitchen's very good on the way to St. Joe.
Yeah,
Can you
trying
stop
to be
on your way up?
diplomatic here.
What's that? Bandana's barbecue. That's the top.
According to
rated one.
TripAdvisor, that's the highest rated.
Okay.
Is that what the text line's saying, or is that what?
That's what the text line was wondering. Okay, just trying to help
Their
out.
tagline is "Smell that smoke."
Someone says rib crib. Is that a chain or is that a local place?
That is the second highest rated reviews on.
That's a chain though, isn't it?
Oh, not familiar with it.
Okay.
In any capacity, either as a chain restaurant or as a standalone inn.
Someone else says from the 816, I'm from up there. Not good. Someone
Which
says.
one? Rib
Someone
crib
else-
or bandanas?
No, someone just says, I'm up not good barbecue in St. Joe. That's from the 816. Those aren't my words.
But they're so close to
That's-
Kansas City. They must have some good barbecue.
That's a texter. Someone else says St. Joe has like 3 barbecue spots. Okay. Maybe next year for training camp, we'll have to stop in at one of these.
I'll say this. It can't be good that when you search barbecue St. Joseph into Yelp, that the very first place that comes up is Cheddar's, and the second place that comes up is KFC. That's not what we're looking
Cheddar's.
for, Yelp. Unhelpful.
Cheddar's, you know?
Barbecue.
Unhelpful in my quest. Now, a third place comes up right after that called Hank and Ace's Real Pit Barbecue. It has just 7 reviews on Yelp. Full 5 stars.
Doesn't
Everyone
Cheddar's
loves it.
sound like the guy, like, it's some big old country boy, 400 pounds, and they just started calling him Cheddar?
was just like a chain restaurant.
No, Cheddar's, they have them like in Overland Park. It's not, have you ever been to a Cheddar's?
I've never even
It's like an Applebee's.
Yeah, so there's the nearest location I think to here is the one right by Oak Park Mall there on 95th. I think it's right in the...
come up with a better name.
I've decided, by the way, you should go to Hank and Ace's. Looks like a mom and pop.
And Ace?
Support a mom and pop.
That
Hank
sounds
and Ace's,
like a place I'd
that
go.
sounds like good barbecue to me. Go to Hank and Ace's. That's my decision.
Okay, we just wanted to help out.
And they're only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they're not even open the other part of the week. They save all of their good barbecuing for later in the week.
I've had some very good barbecue at places that are only open a handful of days.
Same.
I've talked about
like
this.
Hart
with
Barbecue's only open
Nick
on Saturday.
knows in Topeka, there's a place called Lonnie Hughes, and it's only open, I think, like 3 days or 4 days out of the week, and it's usually only open for lunch. That's even more specific.
So is this what we're supporting as a show, Hank and Ace's?
I'm not supporting any
Real Pit Barbecue?
We're just passing along the knowledge,
That would be my suggestion.
Up next, we'll get to what's trending, more on the injury update for the Kansas City Chiefs and what on earth actually happened in this AFC West.
This is Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Royals first baseman / NFL insider, Vinny Pasquantino. This football season with Cody and Gold.
My Twitter is about to unload of football tweets. First Jets game that I have free on Sunday. It's go time.
610 Sports Radio.
When it comes to winning at football, you need a great offense, defense, and special teams. When it comes to burgers, Sonic knows you need steak, butter bacon, and cheese. That's why they're introducing the Sonic Steak Butter Bacon Cheeseburger. It's made with creamy steak seasoned butter, grilled onions, bacon, and 2 slices of melty cheese, all layered with 100% pure beef patty and served on a toasted bakery bun. Get your delicious Sonic Steak Butter Bacon Cheeseburger today. Available for a limited time and only at Sonic.
Heading out of town over the winter? Then make Park and Go your winter airport parking destination. Your car will stay clear from the harsh winter elements because all spots are covered. Park and Go has free instant shuttles so you won't get stuck waiting out in the cold. Earn points towards free parking through Park and Go's Frequent Parker program. If you're traveling this winter, make Park and Go your first and last stop. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. The best deals in parking. Bookparkandgo.com. Park and Go, family owned and operated.
MD Anderson Cancer Center is proud to be named #1 in the nation for cancer care in U.S. News & World Report's Best Hospitals rankings and has consistently ranked as a top cancer hospital for 33 years. As the undisputed leader in cancer, MD Anderson offers patients exceptional, compassionate care, a greater depth of expertise, and more groundbreaking clinical trials. Learn more at mdanderson.org.
Need weekend plans? Check out what's happening at your local Lowe's. Weekending at Lowe's gives you and your family the opportunity to make us your weekend destination. Stop by for free workshops, events, and activities for everyone to enjoy. Check out Lowe's.com/events to see this month's lineup, like our Winterfest event and Kids Workshop featuring a DIY Christmas ornament. Count on Lowe's for all your home improvement needs. And now, gatherings that are fun for all with Weekending at Lowe's.
We tried Dynovite for gut health and immune support, and after a couple of weeks, our little gizmo was acting like a puppy again. His coat was shinier, he had a lot less scratching and shedding, and he seemed like his happy old self.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Get 10% off your next order of Dynovite nutritional supplements for dogs at Dynovite.com.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Steve is a real Prevagen user and paid testimonialist.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I live in Austin, Texas. I work as a personal assistant to the owner of a large manufacturing firm. I've got anywhere from 10 to 50 projects going at any given time. I absolutely have to be sharp. 5 years ago is when I started to notice I started making mistakes. My memory was not nearly as sharp as it had been. I was confiding in my friend about the problems I was having with my memory, and she said, Stephen, you've got to try Prevagen. After a period of time of taking Prevagen, my memory was getting better, and I started to feel a much better sense of well-being. If you're experiencing what I was experiencing, try it. I really believe that it's going to have tremendous effects for you, just like it did for me.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life. Prevagen is available in stores everywhere. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who were cognitively normal or mildly impaired, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
106.5 The Wolf wants to give you the ultimate game day experience. Coors Light, McFadden's, and The Wolf are throwing huge parties for every game, home and away at KC Live in the Power and Light District. Complete with pregame food and drink specials, tailgate games, live entertainment, and more. When the game is over, celebrate the win with your fellow fans at McFadden's and KC Live. Come for the game, stay for the party at the ultimate game day experience. Brought to you by Coors Light. Get details from your official radio home for Chiefs football at 1065thewolf.com.
If you have been diagnosed with prostate cancer, see the best in KC. Getting an opinion from the experts at KCUC can be crucial to ensure you are getting the best possible prostate cancer care. At Kansas City Urology Care, we are making it as easy as possible to do just that. Call 816-PCA-KCUC or visit kcuc.com. Trust the surgeons at KCUC who diagnose and treat the most prostate cancer in the region, who pioneered robotic prostate cancer surgery in KC, having done over 2,500 cases, and who has the only independent radiation treatment center in town, giving patients the best possible cancer treatment in the fastest, most convenient, and affordable manner. The world-class urologists and radiation oncologists at KCUC are here to help you and your family. Call us today at 816-PCA-KCUC. That's 816-PCA-KCUC to schedule a consultation, or visit kcuc.com. At KCUC, you see the best in KC.
Hi, I'm your unused PTO. It's almost the end of the year, and if you don't put me on a timesheet, I will be gone forever. Use me or lose me. Let's get away.
It's getaway time. Get our best deals of the season on a new Hyundai. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR, 0 payments for 90 days, and $500 bonus cash on select vehicles. Hurry to your local Hyundai dealer now during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offer ends 1/3/23. Call 1-562-314-4603 for complete offer details.
Do you know what people see when they Google you? Search engines don't always get it right. And when they're wrong, it's your reputation on the line. So what do you do when you don't agree with your search results? Call Reputation Defender at 800-831-0771. Reputation Defender by Norton is one of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. We have over a decade of experience in fixing people's search results, and we can help you too. Using cutting-edge approaches, Reputation Defender pushes unflattering information down to lower pages of your search results, where few people ever look. We also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, letting you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. You owe it to yourself to take control with Reputation Defender. Visit www.reputationdefender.com or call 800-831-0771 for free advice on your situation. 800-831-0771. That's 800-831-0771.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Please bring a new unwrapped toy benefiting the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Kansas City during the Cody and Gold Toy Drive, Tuesday, December 13th at Jefferson's in North Kansas City. One Santa outfit, 3 guys, same as last year. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, and Odyssey Station. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, of course, keeping an eye, as we mentioned, on practice today for the Kansas City Chiefs. On the injury front, everybody scheduled to practice again. Now, yesterday, Kadarius Toney was still limited, dealing with the hamstring injury. Also, Nick Bolton suffered somewhat of a groin injury. He was limited yesterday, but is also expected to practice. So good news on the injury front for the Chiefs heading into their game against the Denver Broncos. Also, Dave Toub, speaking to the media, said that playing at Mile High, of course, we know about the altitude. Expect about 5 more yards in terms of range for Harrison Butker on Sunday.
I mean, can he make it? I mean, he had the range from 55. The issue was not that. The
Dave
issue was
Toub
left to
also
right.
said that he just didn't. He missed. What do you say? Missed the draw. Didn't have the draw on that field goal against Cincy.
It's not like it was an egregiously bad miss. It's just that's, again, why I wanted them to go to Mahomes instead. Butker's just been inconsistent this year. He had the injury, probably just hasn't had the reps or the kicks he would normally have in a given season to be there. He has not been the same Harrison Butker, at least to this point of the NFL season. Next up on What's Trending, Russia has officially freed Brittany Griner in a high-level prisoner exchange earlier today. She said to be back on the way home in the exchange with Russia this morning. I think the president sent out the tweet, she is safe, she's on a plane, she is on her way home.
Coming up next on What's Trending, Falcons making a switch there at quarterback. Marcus Mariota had been the starter all season long, and now Desmond Ridder, their third-round pick, will get the nod. They're still in the mix there in the NFC South divisional race. That's how bad the division has been. Trying to get something out of that offense. They know that they've been able to win, 5 games with Marcus Mariota, but can they get some more out of the offense, not be as one-dimensional? Maybe that's what Desmond Ridder provides. There's also the chance this thing just completely tanks the rest of the season for the Falcons. But
I still think they might pick top 10, and they're trying to figure out if Ridder's any good.
It's a great opportunity for Ridder. I mean, if he goes out and impresses in the final 5 games, then you feel way different maybe heading into next season. Otherwise, yes, to your point, if he looks awful for 5 weeks, then you know that you need to still go and find your quarterback in the future.
You can keep Ridder on your roster, and if he outperforms the first-round guy you take in the top 10, then you can make a different decision then, too. But yeah, if I were them, I think I'd be
another team that should have traded for Jimmy Garoppolo this past offseason.
I mean, I guess, but I didn't think they were ever good enough. They could have won the division with Jimmy Garoppolo, most likely.
That's what I'm saying. Look, they have a chance to win the division still.
But that was another long-term answer. They absolutely should go find their quarterback.
Jimmy Garoppolo's not a long-term answer for anybody. But you know how many teams wish they probably had Jimmy Garoppolo that are fighting for a wild card spot? You don't think that there's multiple teams that are looking back like, man, we could have had him, the Colts, for example, instead of Matt Ryan.
Anybody else at quarterback, that's for sure.
The Panthers?
Well, they were miserable, and they tried a bunch of different quarterbacks. They just chose all the wrong ones. Next up on What's Trending, former Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett said to be a finalist for the job over at Stanford, according to Stuart Mandel over at The Athletic. It's great because he sucks at broadcasting, so he should go back to coaching.
Damn, okay. Wow.
He's so
Also, I think Greg Roman, the OC there.
This is anything interesting.
Greg Roman, the OC for the Ravens, had been in the mix. I don't know if he took his name out of contention, but I know he had been mentioned as well. Jason Garrett, that smile, that fake smile creeps a lot of people out. You see like the viral thing that when Jason Garrett on Sunday Night Football, like he's always, like they say to smile on TV and all that, like but his is like.
His looks like he's a serial killer behind his eyes.
It's like it's a nonstop smile, and it looks very fake.
Dude, Stanford is the perfect job for him.
You think?
Yes. I mean, a school that's not, you have high expectations for your program, but you're not going to be able to recruit like the highest level of athletes because of the academic restrictions.
Yeah.
Like, I just think his personality type sort of fits that job. Like, like Jason Garrett at Mississippi State? Probably not.
And honestly, you can do
Stanford, Cal, I can see it.
You can do the kind of stupid things he was trying to do with the NFL teams, like, I'm coach. Like, you're not my coach, man. I have to call you that. Jason, shut up. Just answer the questions. You can in college, you can demand all of those things and nobody stops you. You get to just be the king of the mountain who makes all the rules. It's like a whole different game. For those coaches that have to be in control of every single minor little baby thing sometimes to a fault, I feel like sometimes college is good for them. Might be a good step for Jason Garrett.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Coming up in 20 minutes, we will get to the survivor picks for this week in the NFL here at 6:10. Kling and myself still alive. Both of us have a strike now, so it is coming down to the wire here. So we'll get to our picks coming up a little bit later on.
People counting on you
now. There are people that pick. I need to get the breakdown from Spec, find out how many, because I know because of the issue with the registration.
The sign-up
I know there's way fewer people picked me between Kling, and Kling won it last year also. Kling's trying to repeat. Cannot let him repeat. So we'll get to his pick
don't really care.
and my pick. I know he made his pick this morning on his show, as a matter of fact. We'll also get to all 32 here in about 5 or 6 minutes or so. But, man, this AFC West, we know the Chiefs have 2 games still against the Broncos. They still have the last week of the season against another AFC West opponent and the Las Vegas Raiders. And this division could not be further from what everybody thought it was going to be. Not just locally, not just nationally. Like, even if you, like we were on this show, except for Nick, picking the Chiefs to win the AFC West, not the Broncos or not the Chargers, we all thought that this was going to be ultra competitive, go down to the wire. We did not think we'd be talking about on December 8th that the Chiefs could lock up the division this weekend. That's because everything has gone wrong for every other team in this division other than Kansas City.
Well, obviously the biggest thing we were all wrong on was Russell Wilson. Even for the doubts you might have had. Like, because I think we had expressed like just trying to make sure he still has it. We didn't think he was one of the 3 worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL this year. There was absolutely no reason to believe that. It seemed like all 3 teams had pushed every single chip they had to the middle of the table this year. Big offseasons. The Raiders went out and traded for Devontae Adams. They went for Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson for the Chargers. The Broncos went out and got Russell Wilson. We thought everybody was in. And what we failed to realize is Devontae Adams wasn't going to fix Derek Carr and didn't, right? They've had a nice combination over the last 4 or 5 weeks, and they've been playing better. But it's still, they're going to win the same amount of average they always are. The Broncos, it turns out Russell Wilson is very bad this year, way more than we could have already thought. And I guess you could just chuck the Chargers up to that. Like, Nick, you were the one who picked the Chargers to win the division. What is the reason you think you were wrong on the Chargers? Maybe you say you're not. It's just the injuries. But we could have predicted those for the Chargers. They happen every year.
They went out and got a lot of firepower defensively, and they're still one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And the offense is not one of the 5 best Like, if you have an elite quarterback, which we talked earlier, everybody thinks Justin Herbert is one of the elite talents at quarterback. If you have an elite quarterback and you don't have an elite offense, something has gone awry there. You can blame it on play calling. You can blame it on injuries, whatever you want to do. But that's a non-starter if you're going to have a great quarterback. You need to have an elite offense to show for it.
Why are they bad, though? You know, Austin Eckler is having a career year. I know that they were missing they were missing some of their wide receivers. Mike Williams and Keenan Allen have been on and off all season. But again, that's on you for trusting that a little bit. You know, I don't know what to tell the Chargers. Like, those are players that sometimes get injured.
You look at Herbert's stats; they're not terrible, but he has as many passing touchdowns as Jalen Hurts does this year.
I think one thing that probably wasn't discussed enough, I know we had brought it up in preseason, but the coaching gap between what the Chiefs
we definitely
have,
brought it up.
Yeah, it was definitely we discussed, but I mean, Andy Reid compared to the next best guy in the division in that gap. Andy Reid compared to Brandon Staley, compared to Josh McDaniels, compared to Nathaniel Hackett.
It's a big gap.
It's a massive gap, and that matters, man. Absolutely does. As much as Russell Wilson's taking the heat there in Denver, for example, and as much as even Nathaniel Hackett's taking the heat, their general manager should be getting way more criticism. I think he is in Denver, but outside of Denver. It's just outside of Denver, people don't really know the GM, right? They know Russell Wilson. They know the head coach's name. But the GM is who hired Hackett. The GM is who traded for Russ. The GM is who gave the extension to Russell Wilson. So that whole thing's a mess. And as you pointed out earlier, fortunately, as a Chiefs fan, you're looking at that and saying, well, that contract for Russell Wilson's not going away anytime soon. So how do they dig themselves out of that hole? I don't think they can right now. He has to start next season playing like a top 15 quarterback for them to salvage that. Otherwise, they will be screwed for another 3+ years.
What's funny is the Chiefs more than held up their end of the bargain. We didn't think they were winning 14 games because of how tough this division was. You said before the season they couldn't get the 1 seed, specifically because
of the AFC
how
West.
difficult this division was going to be. Obviously, you would recant that now, as you know they have a really good chance of getting the number 1 seed, and partially because the division is trash, because they haven't lost a divisional game again. They have a chance to get through 2022, having still never lost a road divisional game under Patrick Mahomes if they win just 2 more road divisional games this season. One against the Raiders to finish up the regular season in January, and one against the Broncos this weekend. It just went so much. Like, Nick, I kind of get it. Like, because it was like, on paper, it was like the talent the Chargers are adding on defense, you're like, they can't be that bad. They still can't be the 25th or 6th or 7th ranked defense. And the truth is they are. This is one thing I would always warn anybody who's predicting the team who's getting ready to take the big leap. Offenses, in my opinion, can go from 25th to 10th because with the right talent there or simply the right quarterback, you can take a huge leap. Defenses do not go from one of the 4 worst in the NFL to like 10th or 12th in a year. It just doesn't happen. So next year, when you're thinking about what the Chargers are going to do not think they're going from the 27th or 24th worst, 27th, 28th worst defense in the NFL, and they're going to be top 12 because they signed somebody. By the way, if I give you 48 months, do you think a single coach outside of Andy Reid is still the head coach of their team? 2 years.
Oh, in the AFC West? Well, the Raiders might because they can't afford to fire their coaches.
That's the report, which is amazing.
That's why McDaniel, even before this little run they're on right now, that was a report like he's keeping his job because they don't have enough cash on hand. The same story that came out when they were talking about Khalil Mack years ago. Remember, that was always a story with the ownership group there. Well, definitely. I mean, I think we all said this before the season. If Brandon Staley misses the playoffs, he cannot keep his job. So I think Brandon Staley will be out unless they make the playoffs and win a playoff game. Then I could see them talking themselves into bringing him back another year.
But I said 48 months. I'm giving you 2 years.
Yeah. No, I mean, there will be the most likely coach other than Andy Reid to stick around at that point was still, to me, is actually Josh McDaniels.
The checking account.
Yeah. And if they get on a little run and make the playoffs, which Nick talked about yesterday.
He's stuck in a weird spot too, because he has to decide if they're just going to stick this thing out with Derek Carr or if he's going to try to take the risk and go find another quarterback. And is that quarterback going to be in the draft, or are you going to try to go do the let's procure the, because if you're on the free agent market looking for a veteran quarterback to come in, I don't think you can do better than Derek Carr unless the Ravens decide to just let Lamar Jackson walk.
Right. Yeah, no,
that's
we
it,
make
right?
our jokes
you can't
about
do
Derek
better
Carr,
than Derek Carr.
We make our jokes about Derek Carr, but I still will put him in that top 12 category in the league.
Yeah, which means, and how many guys above 12 are just available? None of them are available. They're all on their teams for a significant length of time. So it's just, the whole AFC West has been so much worse than we could have all thought.
All right, let's get to all 32 in the NFL, or the other 31, as we sometimes call it, sponsored by Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. I'll stick with the quarterback conversation here because tonight there's a chance. Thursday Night Football, it is the Raiders, as a matter of fact, that we were just talking about. The Raiders are in L.A. taking on the Rams, and John Walford might start tonight, but they're going to test him out during warm-ups to see. He's got like a neck injury, and if it's not him, it's Baker Mayfield. Was signed 2 days ago. It's one thing for Christian McCaffrey to get signed on a Thursday and play running back on Sunday for 15 snaps against the Chiefs like he did or whatever it was. To be the quarterback, yeah, you can simplify all you want, but that's going to be interesting to see tonight. But I bring it up because whether Baker Mayfield starts tonight or has to wait another week to start, he is so fortunate if you think about the opportunity that he's given. Look, he was a former top pick, so you're going to get more chances. Teams are going to still think. And he's not old. He's still in his, he's 26?
Yeah,
something
still
like
youngish.
Something like that. He's got a great shot here because, bear with me here on the path for the Rams. If Baker Mayfield starts tonight, or he maybe doesn't start till next week, and can look pretty decent down the stretch of the season, either the Rams or someone else will still talk themselves into him, but also the Rams in particular. Matthew Stafford, I think there is at least better than a 5 or 10% chance that Matthew Stafford just retires at the end of the season. Aaron Donald's hurt right now. Maybe he decides to retire. There were already rumors after they won the Super Bowl a year ago. I think there's a chance, it is not impossible for Baker Mayfield to play well enough on the back end of this season, man, to end up being a starting quarterback again for them. If he's bad, this is it. This is his last chance.
It's a good thing they won that Super Bowl, because otherwise we would be talking about how the Lions fleeced them in that deal. They have the quarterback playing better, and they're going to have a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah, the trade
That's
for Stafford
a huge
was all
win.
worth it. Yeah, it was all
no,
worth it.
they won the Super Bowl, so they're not going to go back on it.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They lose the NFC title game or losing the Super Bowl, then it looks like the Lions, because the Lions don't feel bad about this trade either. They weren't winning a Super Bowl with Stafford. They have the quarterback playing better out of the two quarterbacks and have the top 5 draft pick in the NFL draft. There's a lot going on in the NFL right now in regards to Congress, because Dan Snyder constantly likes to get them in the news. Bruce Allen took the stand and testified ahead of Congress today, because the interesting part to me about this is this. Dan Snyder a couple of months ago was accused of hiring private eyes to follow fellow owners. And he came out and he said, I would never do that. Today, testifying before Congress, Bruce Allen, who used to work for Dan Snyder, said that he knew for a fact that he was spied by people, by Dan Snyder. They used to park out in front of his quiet little street. He'd go out and they'd be like, sorry, man, we're just hired to keep an eye on you and see what's going on in case we need any dirt. There's just so much around Washington. They have to hope he sells that team as soon as possible. He's been a mess for the NFL. He openly, there's emails that he sent. They have proof now that he sent an email to all the other owners trying to get Roger Goodell fired. He sucks.
Look, Nick, you always talk about all 32 being positive. I went positive. Cody brought up politics and emails.
Politics? Because I said Congress?
Politics and emails.
Really, Cody?
By the way, I didn't even mention the email that another John Gruden email got leaked in this.
Oh, yeah?
It said on 10/5/2012, so before he became the Raiders coach, the exact email said, quote, Raiders suck. Palmer, another USCP word. So,
Hey.
Really
That's just football talk, man. That's just football talk.
Dude, Gruden is unhinged in email, by the way. He ought to really tone down his language in emails.
It's probably a generational thing. Alex, you're right. It is all in gloom. So once again, I'll take this opportunity.
No, he said something positive.
I'll take I'll take this opportunity to lift someone up. So we've talked, I think, even on this show about Kyle Shanahan and how he gets talked about as being this great play caller, yet 47 and 46 all time as a head coach, barely over 500. Mike Sando of The Athletic, he does his Pick Six column every Monday. It's one of the best columns I think any NFL writer does every single week. He talked about Kyle Shanahan, and we're even going to include his time as an offensive coordinator back when he was with both the Falcons and with Washington. This is his record, 46 and 48 against winning teams. And you might say, okay, still, you're about 500 against winning teams as a play caller. These are the quarterbacks that he has had against winning teams. All the quarterbacks he's ever had as an offensive play caller. Jimmy Garoppolo, Matt Schaub, Matt Ryan, Robert Griffin III, Brian Hoyer, Trey Lance, Donovan McNabb, Rex Grossman, Nick Mullins, C.J. Beathard, John Beck, Sage Rosenfels, Johnny Manziel, and Connor Shaw. With that list of misfits, he has
multiple first-round picks, is what I heard.
John Beck was a second-round pick.
Yeah.
46 and 48 against winning teams. So this guy is basically floating at 500 with the absolute worst collection of quarterbacks you could possibly mention against good teams, against winning teams. That's not just his record in general.
No,
Kyle Shanahan gets more out of bad quarterback play than any play caller I think we've ever seen.
He does. I mean, do you think that is also why? Because you know the other stat, like the stat that doesn't look good for him, as we've brought up before, is the whole fourth quarter thing for him, right? Because of how he plays. How much do you think that is the quarterback, and just how?
What do you think about you? Like,
what do you think about quarterbacks in the fourth quarter? Does it matter?
What do you need?
Right, but I guess what I'm asking is his scheme what it is because of the quarterbacks? And you're telling me if he had Patrick Mahomes that suddenly he would just pass the ball all the time, or is his scheme what it is because it is what he wants to do?
Probably a little of both, because Andy's guilty of that no matter what.
I think, in
because he's 4-31 when he trails in the fourth quarter, he is 4-31.
In the fourth quarter, like when you need a gotta have it sort of drive, what do you need to happen? You need a quarterback who can just go out there and make plays for you, who can go win you the football game, and he's really never had that. The only time he's ever had that would be Matt Ryan, and they went to the Super Bowl that year, and then blew it in the fourth quarter.
Another fourth quarter loss for Kyle Shanahan.
That's
brutal.
Perhaps the most infamous.
I've heard of that game a few times.
What was the score? 28-3?
28-3, I think. Yeah.
Did they make any shirts?
Nope. Even I don't think the rings even made any mention of that from the Patriots.
That's a tough one to live down.
That is still an all-time just middle finger as well. Like one thing to put like the deficits, like the Chiefs have in their ring, like the they were the comebacks, but to have. What did the Patriots do? It's either it says 28-3 or the diamonds. There's there's 31 diamonds or something to replicate 28-3.
I mean, you were up 25 points in a Super Bowl and blew it.
If you're a Falcons fan, that's just gonna never not haunt you. That's all 32 in the NFL. Brought to you by Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Yeah, that's just one of those that'll be even 10 years from now. Anytime a score pops up 28-3 in a college game and an NFL game, that is something that you just can't erase from anybody's memory. That sticks with you forever, whether you're a Falcons fan or not.
I am interested to see Kyle Shanahan with a good quarterback.
Is that going to ever happen?
I don't know. I am interested, though.
Going to ever happen?
I'm very interested in seeing it happen. Because think about, you guys even kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I think
so. Sitting next to you, it sounds like we like him.
Yeah, sitting next to you, you would think I'm the biggest Jimmy Garoppolo fan. That's because you've basically thrown him in the trash can multiple times.
I believe that's a fair assessment of his play.
I think the whole idea behind
one of the great stories of the football season this year until he broke his foot.
The whole idea behind trading up to draft Trey Lance was that we would get to see what it would look like with an elite quarterback, and now I'm not sure we'll ever truly find out if Trey Lance was one of those because the early returns were not great, and now you've got injury issues.
There's not a single quarterback we make a bigger deal out of with Jimmy G than he's had a great year. What a story. And he's going to finish with 3,300 yards and 24 touchdowns. He's a hero.
He wasn't even allowed.
We'll never see more.
He wasn't allowed.
Who is saying that?
He's had
both of you.
He had a good season until the injury, and he wasn't even allowed to practice with the team in camp. They said, please don't come to the practice field. Please stay away.
That was so awkward.
Please don't be here.
Credit to him.
Adversity overcame it.
I think he's a very likable and guy you would root for. I think that's where I followed for Jimmy.
He does
Garoppolo.
seem to. His teammates
love the guy.
to love him. Yeah,
teammates love the guy.
Can't argue that.
We'll see. Like the same story for him this past offseason will come forward again this offseason. Like, are the Niners going to keep him? Is he going to go somewhere else? Like the exact same thing is going to play out one way or the like. We don't know what the end result is.
Play Trey Lance, don't you?
Depends on if he goes to the Super Bowl or not. Now Brock Purdy's going to be the guy. Like that's the weird thing too. Is
Purdy
like,
takes him to the Super Bowl.
Brock Purdy gets him to an NFC title game, and they play the Eagles in the NFC title game or something, and Brock Purdy wins. Then what do? What if Brock Purdy looks great? And then you have Purdy and Trey Lance. Then what the hell do you do?
I guess
then?
just put Kyle Shanahan in the Hall of Fame. He gets Jimmy G twice and Brock Purdy to 3 NFC title games. Then kudos. I don't have to say. That's impressive.
Up next, we will get to our survivor picks for this week. And also, thinking of quarterbacks, don't worry, Jimmy G will not be in my top 5. But we had an interesting discussion around the difficulty determining who actually is in those 5 going forward. Next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Subscribe and download all new episodes of Nick's Wavin' in the Wheat podcast, released every Thursday on the 435 Podcast Network and the Odyssey app.
For years and years, I had put off the idea of getting LASIK surgery to correct my vision needs. Not because I didn't want it, but because years ago, I was told I was not a candidate for LASIK. But technology changes as time goes on. Your eyes change as well, and that's exactly what happened to me. I called my friends over at Dury Vision, had my free consultation, and they walked me through exactly what kind of plan they can put in place for me to help my vision needs, to now get to a point where I don't need contacts. I don't need glasses, because just a few days after my free consultation, I was scheduled for LASIK. That's how quickly you can start to see with your own 2 eyes, just in a matter of days. And Dury Vision, they're simply the best in Kansas City, with over 65,000 vision correction procedures performed. So pick up the phone, take that first step like I did, and call Dury Vision at 913-491-3330, or go online to duryvision.com to learn more about just seeing with your own 2 eyes. And be sure to tell them Alex Gold from 610 Sports Radio sent you.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
Diamonds. Everyone loves them, and at Shane Company, we've been experts in the diamond business since 1929. This means we know diamonds better than anyone else. At Shane Company, you can now choose between either a natural or lab-grown diamond. For your engagement ring, diamond studs, or diamond pendant. When it comes to our new lab-grown diamonds, we take the same approach we do for all of our diamonds and apply our same superior standards. We work with the best diamond vendors, people who've perfected the art and science of creating gorgeous diamonds in a lab, with the quality we're known for. Then, we hand-select only the best stones cut by the best diamond cutters. Plus, all our diamonds are eligible for our free lifetime warranty and upgrades. We'll show you our huge selection in every price range and help you select the perfect diamond. No matter what you choose, whether it's a natural diamond or a lab-grown diamond, you can be confident that with Shane Company, you're getting the most beautiful diamond.
Now you have a friend in the jewelry business. Shane Company and ShaneCo.com.
Start NFL Week 14 off right with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday. How about Josh Jacobs over the rushing yards, Derek Carr over the passing yards, and Allen Robinson with an anytime touchdown? Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Just sign up with promo code 610BOB if you don't have an account. If you already have FanDuel, you're all set. Sign in and see what you got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. 21 and present in Kansas, 3+ legs minimum, $1 bet required. Refund issued to non-withdrawable free bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 800-522-4700 or visit Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
Introducing Spectrum One. Get Spectrum Internet with speeds of 300 megabits per second, advanced Wi-Fi with best-in-class security and privacy. Spectrum Mobile with unlimited talk, text, and data plus nationwide 5G. Get it all with Spectrum One. Spectrum Internet, advanced Wi-Fi, and one line of Spectrum Mobile Unlimited for only $49.99 a month. Visit Spectrum.com or a Spectrum store today. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Kansas City, it's Travis Kelce, and for every touchdown I score, you could enter to win free Bud Light for the season. Head to your nearest retailer and look for the Bud Light display for more details. And while you're there, grab those custom Bud Light Chiefs aluminum bottles for the next game day. Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Why is that? Well, if you ask someone with one of the latest and greatest phones from Cricket, they might tell you it's because of the amazing phones. Like the new iPhone 14 that lets you capture stunning photos in low and bright light. Plus, they'd probably tell you about the fast nationwide 5G included with all plans that lets you stream, text, talk, and more, all at 5G speeds. Yeah, they might mention something like that. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Cricket 5G is not available everywhere. Fees, terms, and other restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast. Even if your symptoms feel mild, ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You're the one who protects the flock, and that requires an eye for detail. Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Grainger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This report brought to you by Max Motors. Vehicles in stock and ready for delivery. MaxMotors.com.
At Max Motors, buying a new car, truck, or SUV is easy. Buy any new or pre-owned vehicle with zero money down, 0 payments for 4 months, and the lowest interest rates available. Hurry in with over 1,000 vehicles in stock and ready for delivery. MaxMotors.com. See dealer for details.
Back here on Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Nick Schwartz with you. We get to the random question of the day. We're also just about a half hour away from talking to our guy, Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. Talk about some of the big name running backs with some big storylines heading into their games. And with tonight's match between the Raiders and Rams, if there's any fantasy value for that. So that's coming up in just a little bit. Real quick, though, before we get into the interesting conversation we've had about these quarterbacks and really the young up-and-coming quarterbacks, but still, who do you want for one full season? Let's get to the Survivor Picks. We do these every Thursday at 12:30. Survivor Picks on 610 are brought to you by DirecTV's NFL Sunday Ticket. We know it's our season-long 610 Sports Survivor contest. There's just 2 of us left. It is Josh Klingler.
Carefully. Don't be making a rash decision.
It is Josh Klingler, and it is me. Both have a strike, though. Last week, Kling went with the Chiefs. I went with Seattle. Seattle needed a game-winning touchdown with like 30 seconds or so to go to save me there. So we both have a strike. It's simple. One of us gets it wrong, then we're out, and it goes for the week. I am going to go with Thursday Night Football tonight. I'm going to go with the Las Vegas Raiders tonight.
That's who you want to trust?
Against the LA Rams. I will go there. Kling this morning, what did he tell us his pick was? I just actually drew a blank. Do you remember? What he told us is Seattle, right? He's going Seattle.
Seattle.
Is that right? Okay.
Team who? Did it for you last week.
So I used last week. So he's going with the Seattle Seahawks. I'm going with the Raiders. If we both get strikes this week, then what happens then? We're just both out? It just doesn't happen? Because we're tied. We just tied and it's just over? I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I think you got both come back for another week.
Maybe so. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going with the Raiders
If it's just
tonight.
two people, that kind of feels like the choice, doesn't it? But
I don't know. So either way, I am selecting the Las Vegas Raiders, trying to save Buffalo for another couple weeks because I think this thing might drag on a couple more weeks as well. So there you go. Survivor
I can't
picks.
believe you're putting your faith in the Raiders after all this.
Yeah, I'm
Don't
nervous.
you have any good teams
I'm
left?
nervous. I have Buffalo. They're playing the Jets this week. I'm a little nervous, no doubt. They're playing better, and that's what scares the hell out of me, especially in a weird way if Baker plays tonight because it'll be some weird story where after 2 games, watch him look great. But I'm hoping John Walford actually plays tonight for the Rams as well.
It's
but
the Jeff
Raiders are
Saturday thing. It's like, you're not supposed to win this game, and then you just do.
The Raiders are 6.5-point favorites. So I'll go Raiders tonight for Survivor.
Okay, good luck.
Thank
Nick,
you.
who are you rooting for? You rooting for Kling or are you rooting for Alex?
I don't care.
Someone says, Gold. No, you picked to win. I picked you to win this thing. Now you're going to go with the Raiders. Trust me, it's part of the journey. Part of the journey.
Part of the
We got to save. We got to look. We're in week. What are we? Week 14. We're getting down to some of these teams here.
I can't believe
I still
Kling
have
went with the Chiefs
Baltimore,
last week. What
and
a
I still have
huge
Buffalo.
misstep. Why
I'm
do you choose
surprised.
Chiefs in one of the toughest games they have on their entire schedule?
He got caught
They
up.
played the Texans in 2 weeks.
Kling got caught up in the talk last week where we all felt pretty good with the trash talk and with what happened in the AFC title game. He got caught. He also didn't have a strike last week, so he had a free bullet to fire, if you will. And now it's even out. So you go. Survivor pick. We'll check in next week and have some faith for those of you that picked me. Let's have some faith. We made it this far. All right, we've made it this far. $1,500 on the line for some of you that did choose me and choose Kling as well. So in passing, we were talking on Monday's show, thinking about Cincinnati. We were talking about Joe Burrow and just like how great he looked, of course, and how poised and composed he is. 3rd and 11 pass. The Chiefs' inability to sack him. Steve Spagnuolo today mentioned that it was, basically Burrow's smarts and brain and all along with his legs that, of course, made him so effective. He said he takes blame for the smarts aspect of it, and the legs and arm are all on everybody in terms of what they dealt with Joe Burrow. So then it got me thinking because I said, oh, Joe Burrow. I was like, yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback. And he said, top 10? He said, he's for sure top 5. And then I said, well, let's think about this more. Let's lay this thing out because we put some parameters around and we said, if you need for one season, so let's say the season started today, but for one season of 18 games, who do you think are the top 5 quarterbacks in the league?
Not at any point, not at their peak.
Yeah,
this
right
year.
right now.
To me, that is us suggesting who we think are the top 5 most talented quarterbacks in the NFL. Do you still not have Burrow on your list? Because Burrow's 3rd on mine. Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Burrow 3. Herbert 4, Lamar Jackson 5. I did consider Jalen Hurts, and I think as much as we're trying to make it about this season, I would still take the guy who had won an MVP, played important postseason games. I know it's like saying, hey, don't factor in their career accomplishments because you're talking about Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. But it's like you can't ignore that if you're trying to.
What he is. Yeah, you know what he's.
If I know what they are. Jalen Hurts, all I know about him is that he's been great this year, that he's an MVP candidate this season. That's all I know about Jalen Hurts. I haven't seen it if it was like everything created equal on any roster. If he's on the 5th best roster in the NFL, yeah, there's a pretty good chance he's winning as much as he is right now. He might be on the best roster in the NFL. So it's like it's hard. And I was trying to go back and forth, but I didn't put a single one of the old guys in there because I don't think that's where the talent lies in the NFL anymore.
So that's
why it was Mahomes, Allen, Burrow.
So this was my top 5. I'll just run through it real quick. I think we were all in agreement on Mahomes and Allen 1, 2. I think, right? We all went there. And then I went Herbert 3, Brady 4, and I did go Joe Burrow 5. I was very close to, because right outside 5, I had 6 Rodgers, 7 Jalen Hurts, and 8 Lamar. I went ahead and did 10 because I was trying to think this thing out a little bit. And so I did end up putting Burrow at 5, but I'll be honest, like I was very close to still. You give me healthy Rodgers on an uber talented team with the wide receivers that Joe Burrow has. I still thought about going Rodgers for one more season because I don't think Rodgers this year, the success or lack of success has been because of him per se.
Let's take this exercise a step further because what you're describing is probably even the better way to do it. Let's say all these quarterbacks we're drafting are on the Chiefs. Specifically, this roster and the talent around or on this roster. Who are the guys you want? And I still want Burrow I know it sounds crazy. I still want Burrow over Brady and Brady.
So, okay, so who was your 5 then? Because I went Mahomes, Allen, Herbert, Brady, Burrow.
Mahomes, Allen, and Burrow were my top 3. Herbert and Lamar Jackson. I have a hard time not including
you did go
Lamar
5. Okay.
Because of the talent, just the sheer talent he possesses, and I feel like you could drop him on any roster, including this one, and make him a real challenge.
A better quarterback, in fact. You put him on any roster that any other team is on, he is going to be better than he currently is because his organization has failed him. They have not put weapons around him. I actually have the same 5 as you, Cody, different order. I go Mahomes, Allen. I put Lamar at 3, Burrow at 4, and Herbert at 5.
That tells us a little bit something about this, because I think in other years that these lists would be a little less variant, that Nick's guy who's 3rd is your 8th. Like, I do think that the talent distribution at quarterback right now is actually, based on this conversation, kind of poor. I think you probably have a better advantage having a guy like Patrick Mahomes than you have in recent times in NFL history, where I felt like the gap between 1, 2, and 3 and 10 wasn't as wide as it feels right now, because everyone else feels like they're in a wash. Like Mahomes and Allen, and then if you love Burrow, maybe him.
Yeah.
But Mahomes and Allen feel like they're in their own little clique, and then everyone else is in this big, messy wash of quarterbacks who are all okay. There's nothing wrong with having them. They're very good, but nobody seems like they're playing at that level that we've feel or have grown accustomed to the other 2 quarterbacks you would take 1 and 2 in Mahomes and Allen.
Yeah, it's interesting. So if you guys were doing the 10, then how would your 10 look then? I guess because I told
Brady
you
would end up in my 10. I'm not crazy.
Okay, I was wondering if
No,
all right.
yeah. Brady wouldn't. He wouldn't be way behind there. Jalen Hurts would obviously be.
I had Hurts in my
inside
10,
the 10 as well.
Lamar, Tua, and Dak. That was how I rounded out the
Dak
top
would
10.
be in my 10, despite the injury. Even Rodgers too. Like, to me, the question about Rod's apathy. He looks like, for the first time in a long time, like he just does not want to play for this Green Bay Packers team. Like, he's not interested.
From the 913, I feel like you're basing it off of past few years still and not just this year. Well, okay, you're on it. You're right.
Joe Burrow's having a career year.
But also, if we're just doing this year, well, then Geno Smith's the number 3 quarterback in football. Do you really think that's who you want as your 3rd pick? You know
if everyone redrafted, you would not draft Geno 3rd. You just wouldn't.
So it's the weird balance if you're right. Like, we're trying not to factor in. You can't factor in 25-year-old Tom Brady, but also at the same time,
I'm not going to just take the 4 best Pro Football Focus graded quarterbacks either.
I mean, if that's the case, then this year Mahomes, Allen,
Kirk Cousins,
Burrow, Geno Smith, and Tua would be in your top 5.
The top 5,
and that just I would not be drafting Tua and Geno Smith before I would draft Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, and Justin Herbert.
If it were just this year, so I already gave you my 5 of Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow, and Herbert. I would say Brady's probably at 6, Dak's at 7, Jalen Hurts at 8. See, it starts to get like, I don't know.
Then it's like,
who
is it
am I
Kirk
choosing
Cousins?
from? No, never. I don't care. I don't care. No circumstances.
We know you're feeling
Rodgers
this year with the way
Tua?
he's played. If you can, I would probably put Tua right there at 9. And if you could just tell me, like, this is the Geno Smith you're getting this year, I'm putting him at 10. This year, you look at the way he's played. This is not just a product of a good system. Watch the Seahawks play. He makes so many high-level throws week in and week out, pushing the ball downfield, trusting his receivers. There's a lot of quarterbacks who just won't do it. He is the antithesis of Kirk Cousins, where it's just like Kirk Cousins will make those handful of plays per game where it's like, I have no earthly idea what you were thinking. Like, Geno makes the high-level plays on a pretty consistent basis.
We'll get to the random question.
I was going to say, how far before you'd get to Russell Wilson? What number? 30?
I mean, it begins with a 2.
I would hope. Try like 29, best case scenario. 28, 29 right now, best case scenario. Before we get to random question of the day, someone is there delivering a package to the Nick Schwartz right now. Now, not here, I assume, at your place. How about that?
I'm trying to think.
Anything you don't want anybody to know you're getting delivered?
I know I made an Amazon purchase a couple nights ago, but I don't remember what it was.
Package from Colorado. I think that's against the law, Nick, to have that shipped from the. That's crossing state lines. I think it's Gummies RS is what the guy said.
Gummies RS?
Yeah.
What's the S stand for?
Shipping.
Gummies are shipping?
I don't know. I'm reading the text. Someone said that the package is being delivered to the Nick Schwartz from Colorado.
Is it weird to know that the delivery driver is specifically thinking about your package as he hands it off to your apartment complex? Like, he knows it's yours. He can open it up. He can see what's in there.
That's fine. I don't. He can't do that, Cody. Actually, He can't open up.
He has it in his possession. He could do that.
A federal offense to open up somebody's mail.
Oh, yeah, nobody ever commits any crimes.
Oh, I just looked it up. I looked up what I'm getting in the mail.
Can you share it now?
It's a phone case.
Oh, that's not exciting.
You got a new phone case for the trip? You finally wanted a phone case after cracking that screen?
Yeah, just for
time.
Yeah, no, I didn't get it for the trip. I got it because I shattered the back of my
like 6
phone.
months ago, man.
Yeah, okay, it's been a while, man. I had to.
Did you get it fixed?
I had to go. You know how I am.
Did you get
I'm
it
very,
fixed?
I'm very indecisive. I'm going to get it fixed today, actually.
Okay.
He wanted it right for the trip.
I'm very indecisive when it comes to ordering anything, whether it's knives, phone cases. I have to look at every single review for every single item in that category.
Phone case? I don't look at any review. I will take any phone case you have. Thank you. It's fine. They all seem to work.
I kind of like I like the one with the card slots now. This is now.
He did that after we shamed him over his.
I had a Costanza
only can be described as a massive. I mean, it was like
I had kind
as
of
thick as a phone book.
The old school Costanza wallet going for a while, and now I do like the case that has the slot for your driver's license, like for 4 or 5 cards. It's perfect. It's nice.
Does that detach from your phone?
No, I have to slide the cards out. It's all one piece.
Okay. That's where it's just like a magnet. I'm like, oh, I'll lose that.
Yeah, no. This is within the case. I like it. I mean, it's been good, man. All right, let's get to the random question today.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Nick. And over in the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610. Of course, the random question today brought to you by the window source of Kansas City. If you missed both yesterday and earlier in the show, Nick had filmed someone in our office clipping their fingernails at their work desk, which is what brought me to my random question today, which is, what is the most trouble you ever felt like you had gotten to in any workplace? Now, maybe that got you fired, or maybe just got you reprimanded. I've never been fired from a job. I think we discussed this goal. You've never been fired from a job.
Yeah.
But what's the most trouble you thought you were in at any particular thing? Because we were telling Nick, maybe get in trouble for filming a coworker. I got threatened with a write-up once for calling. This was the most trouble I thought because I pushed it too far. Because I was in trouble for I got written up because I called in sick. The only time I'd ever called in sick at that job, but I called in sick, and somebody had spotted me, not being sick. So I rolled into the office, and they had a write-up ready for me to go and said, hey, you got to sign this because you weren't sick. And I said, I'm not going to sign this. I want to talk to your boss. And they got really mad then. I said, I don't have to be sick to call in sick. This is not like a legal obligation. I'm allowed to call in for whatever reason I want.
Did you see the story thinking of that?
You cannot force me to come into this workplace.
You see the story about I won't mention the national chain restaurant, but people will know what I'm talking about. They can the story about a national chain restaurant that the manager got in a lot of trouble because he basically told employees, if your dog died, then I need to see proof. It went viral yesterday.
Well, that's not great.
Like a local restaurant.
The only other time was when I accidentally ripped a sink out of a wall when I was working at a concession stand. So
how do you accidentally rip a sink out of
you ever
a
seen
wall?
the Dewey Cox movie where every time he gets mad, he rips a sink out? That's you?
It was just like I was near a hand washing station, near like a fridge area in the concession area I worked as a teenager. I had placed too much weight on it and leaning around and talking to someone, ripped the whole thing out of the wall, and it was spraying water. And well, this can't be good for me or my job security. But by the time I talked to the manager, it didn't seem like a big deal. The other manager was much more mad at me for saying, I will not sign this unless I speak to your direct superior. They did not like that. And honestly, I wasn't going to get any trouble for signing. They weren't going to suspend me for signing this thing that says I'd been written up. I just didn't want to get written up. I thought it was unfair.
So like you said, I haven't been fired, so I don't know the most trouble. This is gonna sound terrible. I haven't been quote unquote in trouble at a workplace before.
Ever?
No.
Too much of a goodie. Well, we got in a little trouble for eating that pocky chip. Here.
You did, not me.
Well, hold on. He yelled at all of us, Nick. Admit it.
He didn't yell.
Well, no, but he scorned. He didn't.
No, he didn't even do that.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
He just said, "Hey, I would rather you not. Let me know if you're."
I was more
you not
stern
to do
than that.
Yeah.
No, I really haven't. Nick, I'm guessing you've got a great story.
Just
I feel like we went over all this.
Nick has been fired 3 times according to the text line. Is that
true?
2.
It's been 2. Got fired from. Well, has there been 3? Is there one I'm forgetting? So I walked out on one job, but then there was a time. This is all when I'm in my youth, when I was much more immature than I am now.
In my youth.
So there was a bar I worked at in college that I got fired from because I was a bar back, so you have to get in early, set up the bar. You're like the first people there. Me and the other 2 bar backs were all done. It's a summer night. It's 8:30. Nobody's there yet. No other coworkers are there yet. And then one of the guys is like, "Hey, you guys want to smoke some weed?" And we were like, "Hey, why not?" You know. And turns out a guy who we had been hazing a little bit walked in, saw us smoking, told the manager. That was a pretty quick.
Were they
exit.
mad though?
No, the manager
Because
was
you
like,
didn't feel you're in trouble. You're just like,
No.
you're fired. You're like, oh, okay, that
the
makes
manager
sense.
was not mad at all. In fact, he apologized. He was like, "Hey, I'm sorry. I don't really care, but the owner is like big time anti-drugs, so like it's a no nonsense policy." And I also got fired from another job because I worked there during the 2012 Final Four. We had a watch party. They gave us booze. We all got drunk watching the game at work. And then it was a shoe store or a shirt store. So then after they won, we were open late selling shirts. I was wasted. And the manager told me the next day, he's like, "We can't pay you because you were drunk." And I was like, "But I worked. And you got me drunk. You supplied me with the alcohol. So this feels like entrapment or something." And then so I just kind of stopped showing up. And then they were like, "Hey, I have to fire you, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." So never really get in trouble. It's
crashing
more
the company.
They're
I've crashed a
very
company
calm.
van once, so that
They're
would help.
quiet quitting. I was quiet quitting before it was cool.
There's a couple on the text line, 913-586-7610. Someone says, "No lie, I got suspended from FedEx for a day. It happened to be the day of Royals opening day, so he went to the game because they told him he couldn't go to work. Then his manager said, you were suspended. Does that mean you're supposed to be going out and doing things?"
Excuse me?
Yeah. If you are suspended from work for a day, it doesn't mean you're in timeout at home. What the hell is that?
This isn't like when you're a kid. That's how it happens when you're a kid. You're like, hey, if you're staying home from sick, you're not going to go see your friends or go see a movie. I'm an adult person. I can do whatever the hell I want if I'm suspended from work.
Like, you can't put me in timeout.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. If you were suspended from this job for 2 days, it doesn't mean you can't go and do things.
Well, if I got suspended from this job for 2 days, I would be so distraught. You wouldn't be able to get me out of the house.
Someone said they charged a phone with a USB port in a company laptop. Didn't realize that phone backed itself up onto the laptop, which included some, as he put it, spicy photos.
Did not get written up, but his boss wasn't thrilled, he said.
No, your boss isn't going to like that.
Someone else said they accidentally left a piece of medical equipment in their van overnight. In the winter, it froze. It was broken, cost $20,000. Had a meeting with the boss. No idea how they weren't fired.
What kind of spicy photos?
What do you think, Nick?
Whether he took spicy photos or somebody sent him some, and either way, they were on there. What does it matter?
Spicy. That kind of spicy.
When I wrecked a company van, I also thought I was in trouble once when I shipped a pancreas and it showed up with a bunch of holes in it, but I had nothing to do with that. But I had to talk to the FBI, so that felt kind of serious.
Oh,
Okay.
Nick, this is one of those where it's just like...
Of course. And the way he tells it, he always does these stories like this. Well, there was that one time where I was shipping a pancreas and I had to talk to the FBI. No big deal. Like, you want us to ask follow-up questions.
When
I know
organs
you do,
don't show up, they get frustrated.
But you just tell it that way because you know we're going to ask follow-ups.
There is no follow-up. I sent out a box that included a pancreas. It showed up not in a box with some holes in it.
I feel like the pancreas is one of those organs that should be hand-delivered.
I hand-delivered it to the airport. Once it's in their hands, that's on them. I didn't do anything after that.
Wait, you trust name your airline to deliver the pancreas?
I'm not in charge of that.
No, but you can't even get some of your bags delivered. We're supposed to trust the pancreas is ending up in the right city?
What if it's going like 10 hours away? You want someone driving that?
Yeah.
When you desperately need something?
I would assume a pancreas would be handled with a little bit more care.
I've also
Show
shipped
some
out
respect,
hearts.
man.
They're trying to get it fast. It turns out someone needs a heart.
You
they
don't
want
respect
it now.
pancreases.
I sent it out in the packaging in which it was given for me.
Okay, Cody.
But then it showed up, all beat up, and they were like, hey, what's going on here? And I had to answer a bunch of questions.
Were you weirded out at all having just a pancreas in your car?
No. I guess not. I guess
just on ice?
There were a bunch. Yeah, they're just like in a box. You can't
Do you
see
even
it.
know
It's
what
not
the
clear?
Do you even know what the pancreas
Rat
does,
Race?
Cody?
It's not like Rat Race
What's
where...
that?
Do you even know what the pancreas does?
No.
You don't. You're late into life. You are very late into life. You're in your late 40s ish.
So I'm not allowed to transfer them because I'm not a medical expert.
I think Nick is correct. As someone that likes to cook and eat, you would think you would know what the pancreas does.
Okay, you tell me.
It breaks down enzymes.
Yep.
Oh wow,
it does.
Important.
Sugars, fats, starches, and it helps your digestive system by making hormones.
So yours must be bad. You must need a pancreas.
Oh, why do you
Due
think?
to your lack his digestion
No,
issues.
the human can live without a pancreas. These are all common facts. Everybody knows
I know
this,
that
Cody.
human can live without a pancreas.
Someone says their sister is only alive today because she had a pancreas kidney transplant. I'm glad Cody was in handling her pancreas.
I want you to know that every other organ I delivered over the years arrived wherever it was
What's
supposed
the strangest organ you delivered?
I guess I'll leave that up to you. I've delivered a box of just bones. Pancreas, heart, lungs, kidneys.
Have you ever delivered a penis?
Brain? No penis. Never had to deliver that.
Nick, that's what I was inferring when I asked the question. You didn't have to say it directly. But
Well, he wasn't going to answer it, so.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
Don't recall. That was never on my list.
Thank you for the random question of the day, Cody. Really, really do appreciate that today. Coming up next, we'll talk some fantasy football with Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. A little yawner tonight, perhaps, for Thursday Night Football, but some running backs with big fantasy storylines this weekend.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
Save some green with the new Bobcat zero-turn mower. For a limited time only, Bobcat is offering 0% financing for 24 months on all new Bobcat zero-turn mowers. While the weather's cold, the deals are hot. To rent or own, call or visit KC Bobcat in Blue Springs, Olathe, or Tracy. See our selection at kcbobcat.com. Offer expires December 31st, 2022.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Football, tailgating, holiday parties, and Smokehouse Barbecue. I can't think of anything better. The holidays are here. Let Smokehouse Barbecue celebrate with you. They have private banquet rooms at all 3 area locations in Zona Rosa, Gladstone, and Independence. If you're hosting your own party, invite Smokehouse along. Order the whole meal with their famous ribs and wings. And don't forget about their hickory pit beans or cheesy corn to go with your meal. Give them a call or check them out at SmokehouseBBQ.com. For over 30 years and family owned, it's Smokehouse Barbecue.
We asked Google Fiber customers what they think about their internet speed.
If someone walked up to me and said, "How fast is Google Fiber?" I would say fast enough that I don't notice it.
Google Fiber has simplified our lives, and the speed has been exceptional.
Google Fiber isn't just fast, it's crazy fast.
Into fast internet? Sign up for Google Fiber today at fiber.google.com. Actual Google Fiber customer compensated for testimonial. Customer experience may vary.
Okay, we admit it. With literally thousands of different wines, craft beers, and fine spirits, Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore can sometimes make it hard to choose. That's why we have certified sommeliers, cicerones, and spirits experts right there in the aisles to help. But one choice you will never have to make at Lucas is buying local or saving money. For 35 years, locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores has been selling more beer, wine, and spirits in a week than some stores sell in a year. That's why we can sell it for less, way less. And while inflation is raising prices elsewhere, Lucas is holding the line or even lowering prices just in time for tailgating or a quiet fall evening on the patio. Shop local and save local at locally owned Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstores in the Northland, Overland Park, and South Kansas City. Online at lucaskc.com.
Lucas Wine and Spirit Superstore. In a glass by itself.
Right now at Old Navy, get up to 60% off store-wide. Styles start at just $7. Grab gifts for everyone on your list and get up to 60% off now. Only at Old Navy and OldNavy.com. Valid 11/29 through 12/11. Select styles only.
At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City, we are here. Here for spring fevers and lowering fevers. Here for first checkups and first dances. Here for planting seeds and growing communities. For more than 80 years, Blue KC has been here for good and will be here for the moments that matter, today and tomorrow. Because at Blue KC, we are here for good. Learn more at hereforgoodkc.com.
106.5 The Wolf wants to give you the ultimate game day experience. Coors Light, McFadden's, and The Wolf are throwing huge parties for every game, home and away at KC Live in the Power and Light District. Complete with pregame food and drink specials, tailgate games, live entertainment, and more. When the game is over, celebrate the win with your fellow fans at McFadden's and KC Live. Come for the game, stay for the party at the ultimate game day experience. Brought to you by Coors Light. Get details from your official radio home for Chiefs football at 1065thewolf.com.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Inside the Huddle is brought to you by Blue KC. Live healthy with Blue KC.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios.
It's Rich Holtis. Tune in every Friday morning at 7:30 as I sit down with Bob and Josh to look ahead at the weekend in the Chiefs Kingdom. 7:30 Fridays on Fesco in the Morning, right here on 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
All right, into the 1 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. We'll get to the 610 snitch line here in about 12 minutes or so. 913-586-7610. I feel like with the random question of the day that we had about workplace, I think it fits right into the snitch line. Yeah, I think that definitely is happening. Look, Nick just took video evidence of somebody doing something in the workplace yesterday. So, I mean, that was just an outright...
Let's Charch about that.
Outright snitch. I will. You're right. Let's go ahead and get Charch's feelings on this. Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. He joins us thanks to Twin Peaks. Eats, drinks, scenic views. Real quick, Charch. Nick Schwert tweeted out a video of a coworker at another station in our building yesterday clipping his fingernails at his desk at work. Yeah, okay, exactly.
Yeah, you can't do that. I one time I was at a. Do you guys have Perkins in Kansas City?
We do.
Yeah. I was at a Perkins, and the person in the booth next to me was clipping their finger and toenails.
No,
in the booth, and I'm like, you can't do that. I guess, but then there's a logical side of me that says, okay, do I care if Cody's fingernails are touching the table? No. I mean, they're attached to you. Why are they instantly so gross when they're off of you? But it's off-putting. The whole thing's so gross. You can't, it's not like it's a private thing. You don't have to do it in shame, but you don't do it like public where somebody's going to run into your nails.
One of the other guys here who said he also clips his nails at work after we had exposed someone for doing it said he didn't have time. I'm like, time? This is a 67 at-home activity.
God,
you
what
could
are you
do this
doing with your
literally
nails? You're
any
a guy.
time.
I don't even understand what that means. When I clip my nails, it's about 60. Now, I don't use the file. I mean, maybe use a filer.
No.
Maybe he's applying a varnish or a waxing, a buffing, something like that.
No.
Cuticles? Is that the... I don't. But what about this? Okay, what's worse? Somebody who clips their nails at their desk? What if you're a nail chewer? What if you're just somebody who bites their nails at their desk? That doesn't seem as off-putting because we're used to it.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, though.
Yeah, Carrington chews on pins all the time in here, and we're not huge fans of it, but he leaves discarded chewed-up pins.
There will be a pile charge of 10 or 15 pens sometimes chewed up.
Yeah, I don't even understand that. First of all, the pens have been in the hands of 1 million people, and you got to put not only their germs, but the taste of the pen can't be good. All the hands and everything else that's on that. I can't even fathom why anybody would do that.
I will say before Charge, we get into this weekend, we know we were in your media guillotine league as well. We also, our listeners are loving the Cody and Gold guillotine league. Cody had a tough out though in the media league on Monday Night Football involving the Bucs there with Chris Godwin. It looked like for 3 quarters you were toast anyway, and then you had some late hope.
Cody, do you want to tell the story or should I?
Well, so I needed 16 points out of Chris Godwin. Had he caught that touchdown at the end, I win. But it's doubled down by the issue that is Kenneth Walker and Jalen Waddle only played 2 combined quarters. Or I would have never even needed Chris Godwin.
Correct.
Charge, I would argue that I had the best team at that stage of your guillotine league. And then I lost.
Oh, here we go.
And it hurts.
Like it does hurt. Look, the guillotine league loss is unlike any other. Your season's over, and you're walking away from a team that's certifiably awesome. I mean, in your case, Cody, you had to leave behind a team that had Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Waddle, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, Justin Jefferson, and Travis Kelce. I mean, that's a team that easily could have won the whole thing. Walker goes belly up, and then Waddle gets knocked out of the game, then comes back in. He's just a decoy the rest of the game. That's some seriously bad luck, but you were still in it because you had such big games from the rest of your players. And then you just needed Godwin to get you half of the points he had gotten the week before. He was a 30-point player the week before. And you had it on the, third to last play of the game. He scored the touchdown, and for 2 glorious seconds,
a brief moment,
you were alive until the penalty.
We're talking to Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. Let's start with tonight, okay? It's the Rams, it's the Raiders. Maybe Baker Mayfield is starting. Maybe it's Walford again. Fantasy-wise, Josh Jacobs, though, has been incredible. He's the top back yardage-wise here in the National Football League.
Raiders are giving Josh Jacobs the 2014 DeMarco Murray treatment. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
I mean, I remember DeMarco Murray mattering from a fantasy perspective, but I don't remember anything outside of that.
2014, he's in the last year of his deal with the Cowboys, and the Cowboys very clearly had decided they were not going to re-sign him. They were going to grind him up, and they gave him 392 rushes that year. Here we are with Josh Jacobs. He's getting the similar treatment. He's averaging 28 carries a game over the last 3. 28. And they're doing the same thing. They're just grinding him up and then let somebody else go get the washed up remains of his career. He's going to face a Rams run defense that had been very good this year, but no Aaron Donald. And last week they didn't have Aaron Donald, but they were going up against Kenneth Walker, who got knocked out of the game instantly, and then DJ Dallas got a high ankle sprain. So I think this Rams run defense is not going to be nearly as good. We're going to have a nice game from Josh Jacobs. By the way, the over-under is only 88.5 yards. He's averaging 161 yards over the last 3 games.
What do you do about the opposite side? I think if you own Cam Akers at this point, you are probably the 5th team to give him a chance, but now maybe he has fantasy relevance?
He's the only thing left standing, right? I mean, at the beginning of the year, we were like, you can take any Ram you want, but don't take Cam Akers. Now, that's about if you told me the Rams are going to find their way to 1 touchdown, I would guess it's going to be Cam Akers. He scored twice last week. That passing offense effectively dead. We don't know who's going to be the starting quarterback. Didn't we? By the way, as a quick side note, Alex and Cody, isn't quarterback supposed to be the hardest position to pick up in all of sports?
Yeah.
The most complicated, the most timing, the playbook knowledge, everything else. How is it that Baker Mayfield is even a candidate for this when he gets picked up on waivers on Tuesday?
Well, they got a view of Bryce Perkins, and they decided they'd like to do anything but that. I watched him in that Chiefs game. I kind of don't blame him.
I know. Not that Bryce Perkins was great, but I think I'd rather just throw Perkins out there and let him run half of the game. I don't know. This whole thing's awful. And if I had to pick one player to start, I guess it would be Cam Akers from the Rams, but I don't want any of them.
What do you do about the running back position when it comes to Christian McCaffrey? You're talking about backup quarterbacks, so we might as well talk about the 49ers. McCaffrey is remarkably consistent that if he plays an entire football game, he's good for 100 yards and a touchdown. But is he with Purdy? Like, is he in this system, or is he just like, well, I guess we're doing it because Tampa's not a good matchup either?
It's not a good matchup. And if you're the Bucs, Cody, don't you just sell out to stop Christian McCaffrey and make Brock Purdy beat you?
Yes.
I mean, that's what I would do. Now, granted, that's what every defense did against Christian McCaffrey in his entire career in Carolina, too, right? But Tampa Bay is very well suited to do it. Now, Tampa's run defense in September and October was mediocre. But, man, they've gone right back to being where they were over the past several seasons. They are very good now. In the last 5 weeks, only Nick Chubb has topped even 65 yards. They put Alvin Kamara on 26 yards on Monday. They put Kenneth Walker a couple of weeks before that on 17 yards. That's it. So this is a very good defense, and Tampa's very well suited to stop McCaffrey. By the way, they're great through the air, too. Tampa Bay ranks 3rd in running back receptions, 1st in receiving yards allowed to running backs. They're elite there, too. So McCaffrey's great, and obviously you got to start him anyway, and he's inside my top 10 at running back, but there's more downside here than I think people appreciate.
If somebody's desperate and we look at the backup quarterbacks that are playing this week or the new coming quarterbacks in, I guess, in a week or so, we'll see Desmond Ridder. This weekend, it's Brock Purdy again, and it's Tyler Huntley with the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, is there an opportunity at all, though?
See, I think there is. I think Tyler Huntley is going to be fascinating. So let me make my case for Tyler Huntley and why I think everybody should pay attention to this. I realize most people don't know Tyler Huntley, don't know much about him. He started a bunch of games last year, like 2, and then he played parts of a couple other long stretches of games. Looked pretty good. On his career, he's a 68% completion passer, including last week, coming in cold off the bench. He completed 30 of 35 passes. Tyler Huntley is a quality backup quarterback, and maybe more than that. So what's going to be fascinating to watch, a little more broadly than just this week, he's going to start a couple of games for Baltimore. What if this team's reasonably good with him? And you roll into the offseason, Lamar Jackson insists on being the highest paid quarterback. Tyler Huntley's on his rookie deal. The delta between them might not be, a $200 million contract. I think this thing could play out in a way that people don't appreciate right now if Tyler Huntley plays reasonably well here or even pretty well. I think this whole thing with Lamar Jackson takes a whole different spin this offseason if Tyler Huntley plays well, and he might against the Steelers.
Charch, I do want to ask you about one more thing before we let you go, this time on a gambling end, seeing how I know you're a Vikings fan and you are very anti-Vikings fraud alert, which seems to be the case. They're underdogs.
They are
against
underdogs.
The Lions, Charch. Vegas hates the Vikings, rightfully so.
Yes, rightfully so. I just, listen, I know it's weird. Your 10-2 Vikings are underdogs against the Lions. But the Lions have played really well over their last 5 games. They've won 4 of them. They've been very improved in almost every facet of their game, including against the run. Over that 5-game hot streak, they're giving up 3.7 yards per carry. This offense has been inconsistent without their starting left tackle, Christian Darrisaw. Dalvin Cook averaging 3 yards per carry. Kirk Cousins is getting destroyed in the pocket, taking huge hits. And the Lions come in hot. Amon-Ra St. Brown looks like one of the 10 best wide receivers in football. Jared Goff's playing as well as at any point in his career. This is a tricky spot for Minnesota. And honestly, I think the line, which has been somewhere between Lions by 1.5 and 2.5, I think that line's fair and might actually be a value for the Lions still.
Paul Charchian.
I was shocked to hear that.
That is pretty crazy.
Look, this is not a dominating Viking team. Did you guys see this stat that came across social media in the past couple of days? If you flipped every team's 1-score outcomes, the Vikings would have the worst. It would have the worst win-loss record in football at 1 win.
Yeah, it's wild. They continue to find ways to win, but everybody still kind of looks at them as fraudulent, frankly.
Yes.
But at some point, if we get at some point, if they're in the playoffs and they win, at some point it won't matter anymore.
15, 14 games, yeah.
Honestly, I think that narrative is so entrenched right now. I think the Vikings would have to go to the Super Bowl to beat the narrative. To beat the narrative that they aren't frauds.
Wow. Hey, we'll be keeping an eye on that over the next couple of weeks and heading into the postseason. Paul Charchian of GuillotineLeagues.com. Always good to talk to Charge. Great insight as always. Thanks to Twin Peaks, Eats, Drinks, Scenic Views.
I have beef.
With?
Okay.
Charge.
Whoa.
Oh.
Whoa.
Okay.
We're just going to let it slide that he said there's not a gulf between Lamar Jackson and Tyler Huntley on a day where we were discussing the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
And you had Lamar Jackson as the third best quarterback
you had him
in
as
the
the
NFL?
fifth best.
I had him as the 8th.
So, okay, well, at the very least, unanimous. Top 8 quarterback in the NFL. And the Ravens are just going to be like, no, but Tyler Huntley, though, because he's got 3 passing touchdowns in his NFL career.
They're weird. They really feel like they're trying to talk themselves out of Lamar Jackson,
are they
though,
actively
right?
tanking is my question.
No,
Are they actively trying
I also think
to lose
Lamar,
games?
I also think Lamar will play again in the next weeks. I don't think he's sitting out the rest of the regular season. Now, to your point, Nick, last year when Lamar got hurt as well, right, we saw kind of the stretch of games for Tyler Huntley, and I don't think – did they win one of those games?
1 and 3.
Yeah, they won one of them. So I understand what you're saying. I think from a fantasy perspective, I could still see Tyler Huntley put up some points.
Okay, so
though.
from a fantasy perspective,
that's what Charge. I mean, that's what
he
Charge.
was talking about the Ravens moving on from Lamar Jackson because of his contract
He's talking about
demands.
being a free agent in the offseason.
I mean, last year on this
If they
show,
do, by the way,
last
if
year
they
on
let
this
him
show,
walk-
we had a conversation. Someone was saying, we played audio of it from some random show or podcast. We played audio, and a guy was trying to make the case for they should give Huntley 3 for 60 or something.
Yes.
Right?
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Remember that? You guys remember?
Yeah.
That was like a real thing.
I do remember that.
3 for, like, it's one thing to say you want to move on from Lamar, but also you don't need to give Huntley 3 for 60. Like,
Yeah.
that was the other part that didn't make any sense.
That was so dumb. And by the way, if the Ravens, for any reason, I don't care what his demands are, if they let him walk, I will forever think of them as a poverty franchise.
Wow, the Ravens? They've been the opposite of that.
I don't care. You have a generational talent at quarterback. Do the thing you need to do, which is pay him
a bunch of money.
The Cardinals paid Kyler Dan Murray. Okay, and they shouldn't have done that. But Lamar Jackson
The Raiders have paid Derek Carr twice.
Is so miles
He's
beyond
won an MVP.
He's a good pocket passer. He can sit back and dice you up with his arm. He just doesn't have any weapons to do it with. I'm getting mad at the Ravens now.
913-586-7610. Casey Kurt says he'll tune in the betting show tonight to hear about the Vikings-Lions line. Yeah, thank you for the plug, Casey Kurt. Appreciate that. Tonight?
Every Thursday, man.
7 to 8 o'clock tonight.
Just alone, like if you took every other stat out of it, and I just told you that Lamar Jackson was 45-16 as a starter. Yeah, that seems pretty.
All right, let's get to the snitch line.
The number you have reached. You've called the snitch line.
And if I have to tell you again, we're going to take it outside and I'm going to show you what it's like.
913-662-1270.
Leave him alone!
Please leave your message for Thursdays at 1:15 on Cody and Gold.
And if you think I'm kidding, just try me. Try me. So we're good?
All right, it's been a little bit since we did a snitch line last week. We couldn't do it with the text line being down. So now is your chance. As we're heading close to the holidays, you're going to have some family in town maybe.
Maybe something happened over Thanksgiving you'd like to get off your chest now?
Or, as we were discussing during the random question of the day, something you've seen around the workplace. Some of you admitted, or at least told your stories about how you think you should have been fired or how you were fired based off of leaving medical equipment in your van that cost $20,000.
Maybe there's something if they had found out you would have been fired. Do you think about that, Gold? You've never gotten in trouble, but it's a snitch line opportunity. Is there anything you think you've ever done at an office place that if they had found out, you would have been fired?
I work in radio. I don't work in a normal work.
You ever steal anything?
No, we work.
Break some rules?
What? Okay, legit question. What am I going to steal this monitor? That's from 1995. Like what am I?
Oh, so now you're taking shots at the equipment?
What am I going to steal from the radio station?
There's probably some stuff downstairs, like in the prize area.
That's locked.
That's not all locked. You could access. There's like signed guitars down there. They're just like sitting in the open.
Yeah, but I have no interest in that.
You could just take one.
I have no interest in that. I don't even know who signed them.
But someone worth signing them? I don't know.
I don't know. Anybody can sign a guitar.
Wait, you think you're just like Nick signed one of the guitars down there? And this is an anti-theft policy to see if anyone will steal it?
If you had a guitar at in your basement and that you just had it signed, I would assume it was from someone famous. I wouldn't ask questions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You could go downstairs. I would just assume
it
it's
could
from
have been
someone
signed
famous.
from anybody. Either way, to answer your question, no.
You're a real goody two-shoes, aren't you? Just never get in any kind of trouble.
Is it goody because I won't steal something? That makes me a goody two-shoe?
Wait, is the question, have you stole or will you steal?
Well, initially it was have, and then I said no, and then he goes...
But I was encouraging him by telling him
he was
could.
saying, I was saying at this work, like we working in radio station.
He said,
like,
what would I even steal? I said, there's lots of things to steal.
And I said, not really.
I think Cody's... I don't like what's happening to you
This
right
sounds
now.
like... This sounds
is a
like...
retread. I think you've asked this one like 3 times.
This isn't a random question. This is the snitch line.
No, you're just repurposing, you know?
Someone says snitching on themselves. They ghostwrite for Cody Tapp. All those hits are his.
That's not true.
Wow.
It's not
Really?
true. No one's ghostwritten songs.
I think there's some truth to this because it has been since June that Cody
I don't know
has
you
done
a song every day.
It's been since June though. This is quite the gap.
This has actually come up recently. Lil Wayne did a Q&A. Did you guys see this?
No.
He did a
I'm listening,
Q&A
though.
last week, and there was a female fan in the audience who starts like rapping his lyrics, and everybody in the crowd's like kind of like woo, you know, cheering and stuff. And Lil Wayne stops and he says, "I don't know what that is, but you're killing it." And he's like, and she's like, "You don't know what that?" The moderator's like, "You don't know what that is?" And he goes, "I never heard that in my life." It was his song.
Wow,
So everyone's like, "Oh, he doesn't even know his own music because he didn't write it." And that's what Cody is.
That's not true. You've never tested me in that arena. If you randomly gave lyrics to any of my songs,
then fine. Okay, then fine.
I would know them.
Okay, Cody. Sing the Suckiest a cappella right now.
I've tried to erase that one from my memory forever.
I bet you have. That's one you won't claim. That's one. If I were you, I would actually claim Ghostwriter on that one.
Somebody else wrote it and performed it.
What
It was a
about
karaoke.
what about Daddy's Day song?
Well, I mean, it's at least at one point I say, Nick's a show baddie. I know for sure that.
You know, one of the greatest things that came from the great
Happy Daddy Day.
the great 2022 audio purge at Odyssey was the erasure of all of your songs.
Oh, this is a good one from the snitch line, 913-586-7610. Someone says they work for a construction company, or they worked for a construction company when they were 16. They were told to demo a bathroom. Demoed the wrong bathroom. Cost the company $45,000. Definitely was fired. Yeah, I would say so. Could you imagine, Cody, if you had someone working on your house and
They demo the wrong
need an
room?
upstairs demo the downstairs bathroom, they demo the upstairs master bath, and you're like, yeah, that was not the one you were supposed to completely demo out.
I like the text line. Wow, Nick, you're really going to try to push that narrative? Lil Wayne literally freestyles every song. He doesn't write them down.
Yeah.
To say he doesn't write anything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw that 60 Minutes interview from 2009 as well. But yeah, it was a joke, you know.
Someone says they work for a delivery company. They found/took home a package that had over a pound of weed.
Wait, someone's
in
not
it.
looking for that?
That is a lot of weed.
A pound.
How long would it take you, Nick, to go through a pound? Week and a half?
Oh, gosh.
Forever. It would take me years.
He says forever.
Years.
It get a little crunchy by the end of that brick.
Nick would just be having a big party for weeks and weeks and weeks.
It's just like cut open in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
Go nuts, guys.
I would have a party for weeks and weeks. Like I would just not show up to work. It's like, sorry guys, still trying to finish my pound of weed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That would take a long time.
You love weed, Cody?
I said it'd take a long time. I think out of the three of us, I've done the least amount of weed.
Well, yes.
You've done the
And judging
most.
by the way that you've said it, that you've done the least amount of weed.
Between the three of us,
I know that he's never smoked it. I know that he's
When's
only
the last time
ingested
you
it.
did weed, Gold?
I had gummies at the Ozarks in June.
That was
That
last
is
time?
by the way, that is such a old person way to say it. Like narc, undercover cop, Cody.
Over here.
Hey, do you guys want to do some weed later today?
Cody
No,
would
I'm
like
not
to.
wearing
Cody
a
would
wire.
like to order one weed, please. That's basically what he just said.
I just knew
essentially.
that Golden never smoked it, so I felt like I couldn't say smoke. Ingested. You've ingested the most.
Okay, again,
You win.
like medical terms.
Oh my goodness! Someone says from the 816, Bob Fesco bumps cigarettes off of pedestrians. That must be.
I believe that.
Going back to
That
accusing
seems
Nick
like
of.
something he would do.
You think?
Yeah.
How about let's go with the Bronco on Broncos week? He should be allowed to be driving that
Oh,
this
wow.
week. He loves his
Good
Bronco.
point.
It's Broncos week though.
Put Put a Broncos bumper sticker on it tomorrow.
Yeah, keep that jalopy at home, you know?
I think he shouldn't be allowed to be driving that around KC this week or in a couple weeks when they.
What should be taking, like an Uber to work or just what?
Leave that other car at home.
Leave it at home. Impound it.
Impound it. Nick, you visit Denver every other week.
So, I don't support the Broncos.
Will you or will you
go
not?
to Denver more than anybody else?
Well, in fairness, he won't be in Denver during Denver week, which is really all we're asking for.
I've never went to a Broncos game. I've never spent money.
Spent our money? You're the weirdo.
I just learned. No, I just learned
never spent
English.
money.
I just learned English. You know. I spent a money. No, I've never spent any money on Broncos tickets.
Have
gear.
you ever been in Denver? At which the time the Chiefs were playing in Denver? Because that's essentially what we're talking about with the Bronco.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. That's what we're trying to
But
avoid.
if I did.
I just have this image of Nick who talks about going on airplanes and how he doesn't want people to wear shorts. I have this image that Nick, the minute he gets off the airplane in Denver, he goes to the airplane bathroom and he changes into all Denver gear and just becomes Mr. Denver. And we just
No, dude, I think
he's wearing like a foam
I'll be
finger
honest
coming
with
off
you.
the plane.
man.
You know, one of the things the reasons I believe that the Broncos, for a lot of Chiefs fans, are the team that you'll always hate the most is because of their colors.
What do
I
you
feel like
mean?
it's just so.
See, the Raiders will
disgusting.
always be at the top for me.
Yeah, but
We
black and
talked about
silver.
that.
But black and silver in general, like in life, is it's non-offensive. It's just black and silver. You know, it goes together well. You've
You
got
think blue and orange is a-
orange and blue, like dark blue and bright orange. It's the worst color combination in the league, man.
There's a couple high schools in the area, I think, that have that.
Yeah, but like the Chicago Bears, there's something about it.
You're picking on Gold's team, Boise.
The Chicago
Boise
Bears
State.
looks okay.
Boise State.
Again, different hues. It's the same way you look at the Chiefs and Iowa State. I see the Chiefs uniforms. I'm like, wow, those are crisp. Those are clean. I see Iowa State's uniform. I see ketchup and mustard.
Yeah, much different. Theirs is more of a the Chiefs will try to claim there's more of a gold color.
It is though.
Yeah.
The Iowa
though
State's
they're
like
both-
spicy mustard.
Yeah. No, theirs looks far more like that. I get what you're saying a little bit.
Thanks, man.
No problem, Nick. Someone says babysitting their nephew. He's obsessed with Burger King chicken sandwiches. Those things are disappearing. What? Oh, the Burger Kings are. I thought you meant the sandwiches. I'm like, there's a shortage. Those things are disappearing. I can't find a freaking Burger King. I'm gonna have to get a different chicken sandwich. Hope he doesn't realize.
He's gonna realize, man. I don't know if you've dealt with like little kids at all ever. They
Just
know
get
if you
him
give
a-
them like
get
an
him a Chick-fil-A.
off-brand
Get him-
kind of yogurt.
Give him a Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. All right. Upgrade him a little bit. Give him
That's
a little-
not what he
give him a little
wants.
chicken
Kids don't
sandwich
want
too.
an upgrade. That's not
Yeah,
what they're
but he
looking
doesn't
for.
know what he doesn't know.
Get him a nice Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich instead.
If you think that a kid's like, you know what, I don't know what this food is, I'd love to try it. You have not been around kids very much. They won't do any of that. You're just going to have to drive to a Burger King. There's no choice.
913-586-7610. So it was the first time they went to a dispensary in Colorado. He said, I would like to purchase your finest marijuana cigarette. The joke was lost on them. They would not sell me anything. That's the snitch line here on Cody and Gold. Up next, we'll get to what's trending. And one thing Cody says the Chiefs should be very disappointed in if it happens next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss Alex's That Betting Show every Thursday night at 7 o'clock. Right here on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie, the type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
The countdown to Christmas is on. Take a break at Twin Peaks and bring the crew for a holiday celebration. Need some last-minute gifts? Grab a Twin Peaks gift card in-store through December 24th and score a bonus card for yourself. Valid in January.
Hey, it's Derek Johnson, and I know there's nothing better than being a part of a team, a group of great people you can count on and learn from. The Sheet Metal Workers Local Number 2 are growing their team and looking for quality men and women who want to build Kansas City's future. While you're making KC a better place, you'll also get great pay and benefits while gaining lifelong skills. Explore the possibilities at sheetmetal2.org. That's sheetmetal2.org. And take a step towards a fulfilling and rewarding way of life.
From everyone at Discover Vision Centers, we'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas. And now you can give the gift of clear eyesight with 20/20 vision. Just until the end of 2022, Discover Vision is offering 22% off LASIK and Smile for appointments booked by Christmas. The first step is scheduling a free consultation at discovervision.com to determine whether you're a candidate and which procedure is right for you. You can even have your LASIK consultation virtually. Just visit discovervision.com and select the option for a virtual consult. Short on time? Who isn't during the holidays? A virtual LASIK consult is a great way to meet with one of our doctors and get your questions answered from the comfort of home, work, or wherever you are. Book your free consultation today. 22% discount is valid for appointments booked by Christmas. Visit discovervision.com to schedule or call 816-283-EYES and mention code Christmas 2020.
Steve is a real Prevagen user and paid testimonialist.
Hi, I'm Steve, and I live in Austin, Texas. I work as a personal assistant to the owner of a large manufacturing firm. I've got anywhere from 10 to 50 projects going at any given time. I absolutely have to be sharp. 5 years ago is when I started to notice I started making mistakes. My memory was not nearly as sharp as it had been. I was confiding in my friend about the problems I was having with my memory, and she said, Stephen, you've got to try Prevagen. After a period of time of taking Prevagen, my memory was getting better, and I started to feel a much better sense of well-being. If you're experiencing what I was experiencing, try it. I really believe that it's going to have tremendous effects for you, just like it did for me.
Prevagen, healthier brain, better life. Prevagen is available in stores everywhere. Based on a clinical study of subgroups of individuals who were cognitively normal or mildly impaired, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Sign Then Drive is back at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Lease any new 2023 Volkswagen for $0 down, $0 security deposit, and 0 payments for 4 months during Sign Then Drive. There's nothing down on any new Volkswagen at Volkswagen Lease Summit and no payments until March of 2023. Simply sign, then drive away with your favorite VW. Plus, we have used cars in all makes and models, and you can sign and drive on any of those too. Pay nothing out of pocket and nothing for 4 months when you buy a used car from Volkswagen Lease Summit this month. When we say 0, we mean 0. Are you in a lease and wish you'd bought? Or bought a car and wish you'd leased? Is your interest rate too high? Do you owe more than your car's worth? Bring your car to Volkswagen Lease Summit and we'll buy your car for its original base MSRP, deducting only for mileage, manufacturer incentives, and any damage. Upgrade your ride during Sign Then Drive today. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com for details. Trade offer for 2012 and newer. Excludes Highlines. Financing through VCI OAC. See dealer for details.
Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about Dan the Wedding Man. Why rent a suit or tux when you could buy one from Dan? Only $250 gets you a custom tailored suit or tux. And as always, Dan has free alterations for life. It's the day your partner will remember for a lifetime, and it's a suit you can use for a lifetime. Best day, best look with Dan the Wedding Man at 97th and Quivira. Online at dandayandtheweddingman.com or call 541-1192.
From the creators of Kentucky Fried Chicken comes the Taste Good holiday event of the year, KFC's $5 Famous Bowl, starring crispy chicken, creamy mashed potatoes, gravy, corn, and everyone's favorite, melty cheese.
I'm in love with you, Famous Bowl.
Treat yourself to the bowl critics are calling a whole lot of food that even a Scrooge couldn't resist.
A humbug, that's tasty.
Gift yourself a KFC Famous Bowl for just $5. Now on the app and at Kentucky Fried Chicken near you. For a limited time, prices and participation may vary.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Thinking about gas mileage. You know, changing your oil with a full synthetic oil like Pennzoil Platinum can help your engine get more miles. Right now, you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for only $38.99. Get everything you need for better fuel efficiency at any of our 6,200 stores or on AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
What's your retirement look like? With Fidelity Income Planning, a dedicated advisor can help you create a flexible income strategy to grow and protect your wealth so you can stop worrying about the future and enjoy whatever comes next. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, member NYSE SIPC.
Without the ones like you who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric is proud to install Generac generators. When you purchase a new Generac home standby generator, receive a 10-year warranty for free, plus financing to fit your needs. From Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on what's trending, a little update on the injury front for the Kansas City Chiefs. Everybody is expected to practice today. That includes Kadarius Toney, who was limited in practice yesterday. That was his first practice back. A new injury did come up on the practice report, though. That has to do with Nick Bolton dealing with a groin injury. He was also limited, but again, expected to practice today. So some good progress on the injury front continuing for the Kansas City Chiefs heading into their game on Sunday against the Denver Broncos.
Good to see Toney out there for the second straight day. I still don't think that there's a high probability he would play this Sunday. I think Pete Sweeney was saying something similar to that, so I wouldn't get your hopes up he's going to play on the game on Sunday. Just getting back on the practice field certainly means he's heading in the right direction. Next up on What's Trending, the Falcons have finally made a switch at quarterback. This weekend, they will start their rookie quarterback Desmond Ridder in place of Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota has not been a laughing stock this year, right? They've been competitive. They've hung around. Hell, if Bucs had lost that game, they would have had a chance, an even better chance at winning the division. But they're just kind of stuck in neutral. They're going to have a high draft pick this upcoming year, most likely. There's a lot of quarterbacks people think could go in the first round in this upcoming draft versus last year's. I think they're just trying to do this. Like, Marcus Mariota hasn't been so bad, he deserves an instant benching. But I get why they're trying to see what else is on the table for them.
Well, and they're on a bye week, right? So it's that time to, if you're going to do it during the bye. You get yourself an extra week to try to prep them up, get them good to go.
Mariota's fine. He probably will end up one of the better backup choices in the NFL again. Like, if you can have a lot worse than him backing up your quarterback situation, but it's just he's not a long-term starter.
Hadn't there always been some speculation of if Chad Henne were to retire that perhaps he could be a good backup for Mahomes in Kansas City? And
I think he'd be fine.
That would be with that kind of a starting experience. That's
I don't
what
think
you're
he's going to
looking for.
We just talked about Jimmy G or Baker, or any of the guys who might be available to be a starter for your team next year. I don't think Marcus Mariota is getting a starting gig next year.
I don't either. With the amount of injuries, though, and different starters this year, it makes you, we know Chad Henne was able to come in the playoffs and help the Chiefs beat the Browns and seal the deal and all that, but it does make you wonder, even if you have a guy like Mahomes as your starter, I wouldn't hate spending some money on a backup quarterback because you don't want to just completely end your season. If your starting quarterback went down, if you're Buffalo or Kansas City or Cincinnati, you're effed.
Yeah.
And I get it, that's just reality a lot of times of how the sport works, ball. So,
but wouldn't you rather have Mariota than even you say Henne or whatever?
No,
exactly. Having a really solid backup quarterback feels like it'd be a nice thing.
Next up on What's Trending, we know the Stanford football program fired or parted ways with, I should say, David Shaw. He resigned officially. They gave him that courtesy considering what he's been able to do with that program. But they have an opening. Former Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett, reportedly a finalist for the Stanford football gig. According to The Athletic, sat out a year. He's been doing the Sunday Night Football
broadcast. TV gig?
Yeah. Look, I think that's interesting. Greg Roman, also the OC for the Ravens, has been in the mix for the Stanford job. I think Nick pointed out earlier, where the expectations are somewhat reasonable out there at Stanford, that you could maybe fit perfectly there if you're Jason Garrett. Nobody's expecting you to go win a national championship within your first 3 years and therefore have to do that or get fired. If you can get Stanford back to consistently going to bowl games and maybe occasionally you're back in the mix as being a team that can get to a Pac-12 title game, everybody would be very happy considering the circumstances that you have to deal with in recruiting there at Stanford.
Lastly, on What's Trending, a 14-month-long congressional inquiry into the Washington franchise has officially deemed that Daniel Snyder, quote, permitted and participated in the team's long-term toxic workplace culture and obstructed a 14-month congressional inquiry looking into them. So they're saying he tampered with it. He tried to make it harder. Bruce Allen testified and said he had him spied on. He said he sent a memo to the other owners saying he wanted Goodell out and so many other things. Look, we knew this about Dan Snyder. We knew this for a long time about Dan Snyder. It's why the rumors about him selling the team have started so much, and guys like Jim Irsay have started going so critical of him nationally. But to get through a 14-month investigation and be like, yep, that guy sucks, he's done all this stuff, on a 79-page report filed today, I'm not shocked by it, and yet still we find ourselves talking about Dan Snyder. NFL owners, I imagine, want him gone.
Yeah, and we all know if you're a fan of the Commanders, you've been wanting that for a while, especially since right now your football team's playing pretty good. Football, they're in the mix. They're in the mix. They just tied the Giants. They're on a bye week, and then they get the Giants again, they've got a chance to be a legit wild card team. And the scenario is available to where you could see Washington, wild card team, having to go to Tampa in the wild card round, which is what happened a couple years ago when Taylor Heineke almost beat Tom Brady in the Bucs. Like the whole thing could repeat itself in the playoffs. That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. Of course, we'll hand off the show to The Drive and CDOT coming up in about 20 minutes or so. So that's taking place. And again, reminder, later on tonight at 6 o'clock, players only, Danan Hughes, Sean Barber, their show from 6 to 7, and then I'm on from 7 to 8 for That Betting Show. Denny Hoskins, Senator Denny Hoskins, will join me tonight. For those of you on the Missouri side of the state line wondering about sports wagering and how close is Missouri, we know the legislative session starts up next month. There was a bill pre-filed from Senator Hoskins. I have a chance to catch up with him. You'll hear that conversation, like what needs to happen this go-around? What's the holdup to where everybody could be happy.
He was our enemy for a while last year, wasn't he?
Wow,
Come on, he was holding things up, wasn't he?
That's a strong
He was
word.
holding things up.
He
very powerful.
Is certainly one of the key players, and if this is going to pass, there's no question about that. No question. Back to the VLT stuff.
Did
right?
you tell
the
him
video
he won
lottery?
It? I don't really care about those.
I mean, he obviously knows. I mean, I'm having him on a betting show, so I think he knows. I live on the Kansas side. You know that. We work on the Kansas side, so we're all able to still wager. But I would love to be able to go to Arrowhead. I would love to be able to go to Kauffman Stadium and at halftime of a game or at the end of the third quarter or third inning, make a wager from my phone or a kiosk. Yeah, that's something I'd
like to be able to live wager from my couch.
Yeah, you can't do that yet. Yeah, you haven't had that experience. There's something about that. Just sitting at home on your couch, being able to pay.
Nick says that's when he's made the most gambling.
Live betting.
Live betting, baby.
Live betting is honestly the best part about everything.
These books don't know what hit them.
Are you going to bankrupt him? Are you single-handedly taking down the casino industry?
FanDuel literally sent me an email this morning and said, "Please, is there anything we can do to get you?"
You know what?
By the way, it's not even that. They'll just kick people off.
I was going to say, you know what is true about that? For those people that are really actually winning too much money, they will limit your account. All the books are guilty of doing that. They will limit your account if you're winning "quote unquote" too much money, to where if you were before making wagers of $1,000 or $100 and you were actually winning consistently, they will limit you down in some cases to $20 wagers, $10 wagers. That's a real thing that does happen. So that's always funny.
That seems unfair. I should be allowed to win as much money as I want from them. They're allowed to take as much of my money as they want. This seems like an unfair balance.
That unfortunately is, you're not wrong, but it's something they are allowed to do. But it definitely is something that they've been criticized for. Multiple sports books have done that across the country. Because, they have no problem. You're right. They have no problem. You can lose. They have no problem with you losing a ton, but eventually you win too much. This happens at casinos all the time, right?
It's coming pretty soon for you, Nick. So I guess make what you can while you can.
That's what's funny is this is not Nick, but just in general. If you meet somebody that claims that they always win and they're winning thousands and thousands of dollars, but but if their account they're full of it is what I'm saying, unless their account has also been limited usually. Because if you're someone that's consistently betting, they'll do that. Now that's why you can also in-person wager too. There's ways to still do it.
Not in Missouri yet. So hopefully we'll find out more about that on That Betting Show. What's your confidence ranking? It'll happen this year.
I truly think it's in a better spot than it's ever been. Part of it has to do with Kansas passing it, but they're back to the same kind of arguments, right? With whether or not video lottery terminals are included. Casinos don't want the video lottery terminals, of course, and so that's where everything's at. We'll talk about tonight, as you said, Cody. I know you'll be listening, man. I know you'll be listening right at 7 o'clock tonight.
Oh no, that's soccer practice time.
You can podcast the show.
That I could do, but I'll be firmly locked into 6 and 7-year-olds practice soccer.
Sounds outside.
No, they play indoor this time of year.
I was gonna say
they play indoor.
That sounds miserable outside.
Indoor soccer this kind of year. So we don't want them getting sick.
The Chiefs have the Broncos on Sunday. We know that. And you look at the rest of their schedule. They're going to be thinking of betting. They're double-digit favorites in some games, look-ahead lines. They're 9.5-point favorites in this game or 8-point favorites in some other books. They are, the rest of the season, at least 8-point favorites in every game the rest of the way. They have one of the easiest schedules in football the rest of the way. We know what Buffalo has, both on the injury front and also with their schedule. This is why yesterday we talked about the number 1 seed conversation, how they to me will still end up with the number 1 seed. But look at that, that schedule, man. It's right there for them.
There's no excuse for a letdown game. Everything is still in front of you. You want to host another AFC Championship game, right? You want to get the only bye in the AFC, right? Well, then go out there and win the rest of the games against teams you are significantly better than. every single team remaining on the schedule has a fatal flaw remaining. For the Broncos, it is their inability to score on offense. We know that. Those are the next 2 games. We know that Seattle has had all season long one of the league's worst defenses consistently across the board. Maybe at this point the Raiders don't have a fatal flaw, but they have not been very good on defense, and they have been around league average on offense, even though they're playing some of their better football, and we'll see tonight, as they have they have to win this game against the Rams or their playoff hopes are dead, so they won't even be playing anything.
The Raiders probably have to win out, man.
Yeah. And the Houston Texans are the single worst team in the NFL this season. They have a lot of fatal flaws. As a matter of fact, they're awful at every part of football. They're not good at any of it. They're not good at running, passing, defending the pass, defending the run, special teams, or anything in between. They're the worst team. So it's like when I lay it out like that, and you are playing for the 1 seed, you know you can't slip up. If you want the 1 seed, you have to win out. It might not guarantee it for you still, because Buffalo could still win out and beat you for it. Mm-hmm. But in order to get the 1 seed, there's no way you're losing one and still getting it, in my opinion.
Yeah,
the Bills are too good to be losing 2 games down the stretch.
I would agree with that, and also this is why I don't think you have. Truly, I'm not worried about the stereotypical conversation of like, is it a trap game and all that. I'm actually not, because of what you just said. There is clearly a lot on the line, despite the opponents, for the next 5 weeks. It is all about the number 1 seed. Technically, they still haven't clinched the division. That's not a worry. They're going to do that. But that's why I'm not worried about a week 9 trap game or something from earlier in the season. Now it's clear. Like, you know what the playoff picture looks like. You know what you have to do. If you would have beat the Cincinnati Bengals, then you would have had maybe 1 game of margin of error. You don't have that. Now, I think there's probably still going to be a close call during this stretch. If they're fortunate to win all of them, that's all that matters.
I can live with that.
There will probably be some close calls. I think we just know how this typically goes. One, it's the NFL. This isn't college football. We see so many one-possession games. It's very rare that you have double-digit type of wins. There's only a handful of those every couple weeks. So, this week, it's the Broncos. We know how bad they've been on offense, but that defense is pretty legit. Like, I think there's a chance that we could be heading into late in the third quarter on Sunday, even against Denver, and be like,
and it's
man, why is it only a 1
yeah.
possession? It's 21-13 or it's 21-10, and you're like, they're just kind of hanging around. Like, I could see something like that playing out on Sunday.
I just think that I know that there's there's reasonable standards and there's unreasonable standards. We talk about a lot of this when, like Nick made fun of us for choosing the Chiefs to lose to the Bills. Like, I can't believe you picked them to lose. You're
because
like,
you're not true fans. Well, that's why.
That's not true. Teams lose games.
They don't all go 17-0. In fact, nobody goes 17-0 except for lose.
I'm not allowed to ever pick the Chiefs to lose a football game.
Not if you want to be a real fan. If you want to be a voice of Kansas City sports.
You spent 2 years on the show not even picking.
Spent 1 year on the show not picking, but it's because I was still getting acclimated. I was new.
You wanted some what? An adjustment period?
I didn't understand the process.
Just choose who you think is going to win. Have we still...
Chiefs by $1 million every week.
I was gone the week when you guys were making your final predictions for what would take place in the Cincinnati game. Did you predict them to win that game?
Yeah, I said a 3-point game, but the Chiefs winning. Nick said the 3-point game as well. He had the score of just the wrong teams.
Yeah, I had 27-24.
He went with the same score as the title game, but we all picked the Chiefs on the show. But we all thought it was a 3-point. We did think it was a 3-point margin.
Well, there's no reason to not think. Yeah. I mean, again, if you run into a close, I don't think the only one that I'm not going to excuse a close game with is the Texans. I know we can do the old NFL, a win's a win. You could not play that team close. It would be embarrassing.
I just want the damn wins.
It's embarrassing.
I just want the wins.
Against that team?
I just want the wins.
They have been blown out.
I want wins
more
in my
than
quarterback.
10 points in more than half of their football games this year.
The rest of the regular season, I just want win and Mahomes and Kelsey to be healthy. That's all I need. That's all I need till the playoffs. Wins, no losses.
You don't care if they're all 10-7. You're good.
Truly, no, I don't. I'd be like, what the hell is going on? But I don't. Win, get the damn number 1 seed, because hopefully the Bills slip up and keep number 15 and 87 healthy, and I will be happy heading into the postseason.
What about Chris Jones? 95? You want to add him to that mix?
We can add him as well. Yep.
Because I think if you're protecting players for the Chiefs, I'd probably protect Chris Jones, because I don't want to. This is the Von Miller problem, but probably worse.
Yes.
Could you imagine what the Chiefs pass rush would look like without Chris Jones? No, thank you.
We would be talking about them having to win playoff games
it's
by
not
scoring
unreasonable
35
to say
plus.
You have to win all your games. There's no excuse not to win all your games. I understand going into the season the reason why we can't say that. In week 8, we can't say win out. We can't say, hey, during this stretch of games in which you're beating 4 bad opponents, you got to go 4-0. Because sometimes we run into that, right? Like, hey, there's a 4-game stretch. The Chiefs could win all these games. And more often than not, you find yourself saying, if they went to 3-1, would I panic? No. But for the final games of this season, what you have on the line for the 1 seed and for your chances at a Super Bowl and all of those things. And these teams stink, except for Seattle, who I know doesn't, but is average. You have to win out the remainder of your schedule. The Seattle one probably scares me the most because they are, at this point, the team playing the best. I guess I should fear the Raiders a little bit, but the fact that Mahomes could still get through this season having never lost a road divisional game gives me a little less pause.
That Week 18 game, if the Chiefs had it had continued to win heading into that game, and so had the Raiders, and it's, we talked about this yesterday, and if it's the Raiders win and they're in the playoffs as a wild card, and the Chiefs win and they get the 1 seed, if that's a scenario, what a huge game that would be. But that requires both the Chiefs to continue winning, and it also requires the Raiders more challengingly finding a way to continue to win football games, and they'll try to start doing that tonight. Baker Mayfield's going to be active for the Rams tonight, Thursday Night Football, and there's a chance he starts depending on how warm-ups go against the Las Vegas Raiders.
He signed 2 days ago.
That's what's crazy,
Does that
man.
not seem like a bad idea?
For a quarterback to look, if the other guy's hurt, then they have no choice. That tells you how they feel.
No, they could start
about
Bryce Perkins.
Yeah, but he can't throw.
Well, we watched his game.
Great story. He can't throw, man.
Can Baker?
I think what they should do, go Baker and go Bryce Perkins, and have Perkins come in occasionally and give you a little bit more something to think about if you're.
I saw somebody suggest Wildcat with Cam Akers because he was a high school quarterback.
They have to get creative right now.
So was Kendall
Baker,
Hinton,
Perkins,
but it wasn't a good idea to
get creative. Try to mix it up, confuse the Raiders a little bit.
Is this gonna this season right here? Is this gonna make Sean McVay actually retire? You know when he flirted with it reportedly. To me, this is the kind of season you know what, I did get that Super Bowl and. This roster's going to have no one left on it, and didn't...
I'm going to go broadcast for 5 years and
Didn't
come
some
back.
broadcast company offer me $25 million a year? You know what? I think I'm just going to do that. I don't remember what the number was, but he got offered, reportedly, a big dollar amount to go be, an analyst for one of these teams. I think considering... Because the Rams feel like they have no chance to win a Super Bowl for the next 5 years combined, right? Of all the teams that should chip away their good assets to try to just, turn around the clock, it feels like them. Because they don't even have a first-round pick. They don't even have their first-round pick this year. It's traded to a different team.
What's weird is that and talking about the NFC West, there's nobody that you can sit here and tell me you think is going to just be the clear-cut team for the next 5 years in the NFC West. You can't. None of the teams fit that bill.
No, I mean, I'm probably most confident in the 49ers, and I don't even know their starting quarterback.
Exactly. We're 2 years from now, who the hell's who's starting for them next year? Trey Lance?
It's Trey Lance.
I think, yeah, exactly. We think. We know who the starters in Arizona, but we don't know who their head coach for sure is next year, and you just don't trust that whole regime. D-Hop's not getting any younger. And then Seattle, as good as Geno's been, is that who they want to sign to a multi-year deal, or they think they still need to go draft somebody? And then,
man, I would try to get. I think if I were them, I'd be like, Geno, will you take a 2-year extension for $20 million a per? And then we'll draft some. That's what I would do.
Final word.
Doesn't that feel like they're really safe? That's the Alex Smith play, man. Just let him be your starter for the next couple of years. You're having success, and then draft and develop the next guy.
Geno Smith and Jimmy Garoppolo, if they just both hit the open market, free agents, they both would be the 2 most sought after quarterbacks, which is crazy, but it's true. Geno Smith and Jimmy Garoppolo would get the 2
I think you're right.
most attention, I should say, come there. We'll see how Thursday Night Football goes tonight. Raiders and the LA Rams. C-Dot and The Drive coming up next right here on 610 Sports Radio.